Right now, here's Jeff Cameron.
The Seminole Headlines begins right now. As the man said, good to be with you as always, joined by my boys, Ira and Corey, Warchant.com, and you guys, welcome in. It's a little yay sausage time. Here we go.
No promo codes this week, though.
No promo codes after a loss. That's the way it goes. Only winners get to eat. Only winners get to eat. That's the way it works.
But sometimes there's pity sausage. I mean, that's the great thing about registers.
Offsetting.
Yeah.
You might be in line for some pity sausage, which, sometimes it works just as well. Registermeats.com is the website. And if you want some delicious andouille or the cheddar jalapeno or just the regular old school Register's pork sausage or the hot sausage or the short links, the variety is endless. You guys should take part in the goodness. And if you live in the Southeast, you could probably get it at your grocery store. If they don't have it, when you go in and ask, if you look around, you don't see the Registers section of those. It should be the whole sausage section.
Start knocking stuff over.
Well, no.
No, that's not.
Slap it off the aisles. Slapping stuff off the aisles.
We talk.
Right.
We use our
words.
Yes, we use our words.
There it is.
Yes.
We use our words. Yeah.
And ask for it. And then if they don't get it, then you may have
start slapping stuff.
But,
you know where the Register sausage is at Publix, where I grab my Register sausage. If it was not in that cooler, I could just churn right over there. I think it's all like mashed potatoes packaged and pork. I could just right off the aisle.
Exactly.
Get the hell out of here with your mashed potatoes. I want some Register sausage. I could do that.
And if you aren't in this area, if you're out in the Netherland of this country, registermeats.com.
Running from the law, no doubt.
Probably, especially if you're in Alaska.
You're hiding.
Well, you can't. They're not coming to Alaska, right? So if you're in Alaska, go eat bear or something.
Go shoot some elk.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and don't eat the wrong berries. Yeah, that'd be you. So there we go. All right, let's move it forward. We're off fresh off a loss here and staring a tough game in the face. You guys were at practice today. I want reports of goodness. I want to hear that they've never looked so impressive, that this has focused them in a way that really almost guarantees we're not dealing with the feelings and the anguish and the angst that come from having the bubble burst after a 4-0 start. I think a lot of people began to believe this was an undefeated season in the Wake.
Well,
I thought it was interesting. I thought it was kind of interesting that Alex Atkins said yesterday that even they do it, because that's what we're always looking for after a loss or a emotional game, is when we go to practice, what do the guys look like? And you're trying to read the body language and all that. And basically, he said they do that too.
Yeah.
He said when they go to Sunday, it's like, is anybody late for the meetings, or is everybody wide-eyed? And they loved the response they saw on Sunday. And I thought today was sharp. I mean, it was I thought Jordan looked good. The parts I saw him throwing the football, I thought the energy was good. And I thought the coaches seemed to raise their level of intensity a little bit, maybe just in case the players needed a boost.
Yeah.
I mean, from Atkins to David Johnson to Norvell to other coaches really trying to make sure the energy was great. Going into this
I'm glad to hear that there wasn't any hangover. There ought not be. I mean, you're off to a great start of the season. I know that athletes in general can delude themselves into believing anything. They kind of have to, right? But the reality is this team's off to a very good start. They've played to their ability up to this point. I think they got caught in a situation where, you have a veteran team that's been there before against a group that is also banged up, and they got behind the 8 ball after that first drive when things began to stall and Wake put together a couple drives. I think obviously the reality set in. They did fight back. They should. That's good. You get credit for that. They're a tough team. I don't know physically if they're going to be able to get the wins over the next 2 weeks. They might, but certainly their head should be screwed on straight. I mean, they've come too far. I mean, they've worked hard together to get to this point. There's still a lot of goals right out there before them. In fact, if you were to win these next 2 games, hell, you're still in it for the Atlantic.
Inside track, I would think.
You'd be in good shape. So, I'm glad that they didn't need some sort of attitude adjustment. I'm also glad to hear the coaches, just in case, we're ready to go and amped up the intensity.
It's it illustrates again. This is such a tough stretch, and I know people. We grew up with ACC football. We don't maybe foresee Wake, NC State as this incredible gauntlet, but it kind of is, man. Wake, that offense is unlike anything you're ever going to face again. Then NC State has a very good defense and they're physical, and then after that is Clemson. So right now, Wake is 15th in the country. NC State is 14th in the country, and Clemson is 5th. And you got that back-to-back-to-back. That's just a really tough schedule. I think last week when you went into that game, you're like, okay, now if you can go 2-1 over these next 3, you're going to have a great year. Now, I think because Wake was the easiest of the 3, in my opinion, it was never going to be easy.
Probably physically, yes.
It was going to be the easiest of the 3 because
and you got them at home.
You got them at home after Clemson. And so you thought maybe that would be the easiest of 3. Well, you didn't do well there. So now you got a chance. Win one of these next 2. Just win one of these next 2, man, and you still have a chance at a magical season. Not a good season, which you still have a chance to, even if you go 4-3 to start. But if you win one of these next 2, going on the road and winning at Raleigh, which you never play well,
I would be elated, Corey.
Yeah, exactly.
I would be elated. I don't think they're going to go win this game. I'll tell you that now. I don't. But if they do, to your point, I would be elated. I think you're playing with house money at that point. When Clemson comes to town for a night game, you'll be loose. I think they would feel pretty damn good about themselves at that point. Who knows? You hang around in that game, get into a second-half situation like you had last year at Clemson, you might be able to win that game. The atmosphere will be such to maybe carry you over the finish line. I would be a little surprised, though, again. I don't know who's going to play and who's not going to play. That matters a lot. Like, for example, if Fabian Lovett were to play, that might change the way I view the chances, obviously, of them winning the game. It certainly would upgrade their chances to win the game. But we don't know that yet. They're certainly not going to announce that. And then I'm knocking on wood that you get Robert Scott back, because I think the difference is noticeable with him not in there. It's not even that I think he's elite. He's just so much better than the alternative right now that you really can't afford to have both your tackles be physical mismatches against the elite defenses, meaning the wrong side of the physical mismatch.
Yeah, I think the challenge is in this next 2 weeks for the fan base is if you don't win one of these 2 games, you're still, the goal for most people going into the season was, man, get to 7 or 8 wins. 8 wins is probably what you need to be at to really feel like you're making progress. You could lose these 2 games and still get to 8 wins.
You could,
but it would feel miserable.
We said last
week
lost
those 3
I asked you that question.
For that stretch. Now, it won't feel miserable if you go win at Miami and then beat
I
Florida.
agree. I'm just saying in that window, and you'd have a bye week after Clemson where you'd be thinking, and I thought we made all this progress, and it doesn't feel like it. Even though you've watched the games, you've seen this team play, it's a better football team.
I asked you guys last week what the feeling would be like if they lost all 3 of these games. And I said, would the goalpost moves? And you said, yeah, they would, because people have moved them already. And, you sense it after a loss immediately. You get the lunatic fringe. Don't really worry too much about fans' emotions, because by definition, they're going to be very, very emotional. I think that, we look at this team, you do so objectively. You say they've made huge improvements in a lot of areas. They still have a long way to go in stockpiling the kind of talent you need. It's funny, when you watch a lot of college football, and all of our listeners and viewers do, Georgia is a good example. They played terrible the last 2 weeks and really bad against Mizzou, right? That was an awful game. But if you watch the 4th quarter of the Missouri game, that's a situation where, despite being listless for 3 quarters, some dudes just decided to take over the game, in particular your running back, who just decided, I won't be tackled. Not by these bitches. They will not tackle me. And ran over everybody in the 4th quarter in order to go down and get that game's go-ahead touchdown. Florida State does not have those dudes. There aren't a lot of those guys everywhere. There's a guy here or there. They've upgraded talent. The floor has been raised. But when it becomes, as they say, nut-cutting time, guys.
Yeah, but they've got a couple of those guys.
They got a couple.
I
have.
think Johnny Wilson could be that guy. I think Jared Verse could be that guy when he's fully healthy.
Verse especially, I think.
But I also think Georgia's probably not even a good example, because Georgia's like that. Nobody can compare themselves to Georgia.
No, but what I mean is,
but what about the 12th team in the country? That's what Florida State's trying to get to now. 12 to 20, somewhere in there.
Right, but what I'm saying is that if more segment groups have those difference makers, then you don't lose games like that. You do find a way to make a play, because you got a guy that takes upon himself and he's physically more gifted than the guys he's going against. Florida State's done a good job of the starting 22 getting a lot better. The receiving core is infinitely better than it was a year ago, 2 years ago. I think the offensive backfield in general is a lot better than it was. The offensive line's better because it's deeper. It's not elite. It's not even very good. It's just –
well, that's the problem. Right now, it's not deep.
Right. Well, they lost a lot of those guys. They can't afford to lose those guys. You can't lose your NFL defensive tackle in Fabian Lovett from after the first game of the year and expect it not to come back to haunt you at some point. That's what's happened. They don't have any star corners right now. Maybe Azareye'h Thomas becomes one. They don't have a star corner right now that takes over a game where that's a lockdown corner. They don't have that guy. With Tatum Bethune nursing an injury, he's not getting guys on the ground the way he was early in the season. He diagnoses well, but after he and Kalen DeLoach, they don't have anybody. Lundy can't really play all that well. And so They don't have enough guys. You're going to lose games against teams who do. That's normal. There's no reason to get emotional
Especially
about
if you
it.
don't play well. Like, I wouldn't say they play. They were just
11
sloppy
penalties
in
tells
that
you they were
game,
sloppy.
man. And look, man, if Darius Washington, it's kind of a nitpicky hold considering what Wake's doing every play, but it was a hold. He grabbed him.
Yeah.
Probably didn't need to grab him. Jordan's going to get outside of that guy and make that throw. Well, you got first and goal at the 4.
Yeah, it bemes a different situation.
You make it a one-score game a lot earlier than you ended up making it a one-score game. It's just those little things are the things that it just harkened back to last year, just the early part of last year where the offense couldn't get out of its own way and make a big play, but there'd be a huge penalty or there'd be a huge missed assignment and you have a 6-yard tackle for loss.
Well, and I think you guys are saying the same thing from kind of different sides. This is a team that can't play sloppy and win against a decent opponent. Georgia can play sloppy
absolutely
and win. Clemson can play sloppy and win. Florida State can't. They've got to play clean. And that was what was frustrating to me about that game is I just felt like, especially in the first half, they got so outside of themselves. Like they just did not look like the same offense. Now, it doesn't excuse the defense because, yes, while we can say the defense only gave up 31 points.
Yeah, that first half was tough.
And if you look at total possessions, Wake really only had the ball 9 or 10 possessions, and they scored touchdowns on 4 of them and had a field goal, missed the field goal, another.
Yeah, 3 in a row.
Well, actually, after the first drive, they had 3 straight touchdowns, missed field goal, touchdown, field goal, or something. It's just like they were as efficient as Florida State was going to let them be. Like they didn't hit the big plays. Florida State didn't let them hit the big passes, but that didn't stop them because Florida State couldn't get off the field.
18-play drive will hurt your feelings. But I will say, in fairness, and we can do this, you're right about that, but Wake does this to everybody.
Yeah, and
they're a really good team.
And I'm not saying that, and I wrote that. I said, like, you're picking your poison. They're both poison.
Yeah.
Like, they could have gone the other way. They could have changed the approach, which is, I think, a lot of Florida State fans, force the issue. Okay, well, then you may give up 6 touchdown passes like Clemson did because you're not great on the back end.
And
either.
that dude's going to make the throw. Right. Sam Hartman's going to make the throw. He made several of them. Yeah. I thought Renardo Green had picture-perfect coverage on the one to the right side. That is a laser for a touchdown. That's a receiver making a play. Yes, that's a receiver making a play and a quarterback making a play, and they're veterans at that. So sometimes, admittedly, I think the other reason the offense looked out of sort for Florida State was its 2 tackles were getting their ass beat. Wake, tightened everything up and just inside shouldered them, and they could not do anything about it. So then at that point, you're trying to fight to get to the edge. And I don't know that Jordan was 100% in getting to the edge. So a lot of factors.
It was interesting watching practice today, especially after listening to Alex Atkins yesterday, because one of the things Alex Atkins talked about yesterday was that you need to force the issue, not react.
React to it.
You need to. I forgot what the word he used was.
He didn't like him coming to the sideline going, "Oh yeah."
Well, he just said like we don't need to be reactionary as offensive linemen. We need to force the issue and set the tempo. And that was kind of what we could hear him saying to the linemen today was, "Man, go get it. Go run through that guy. Don't wait to see what he's going to do. You go set the tone on the blocks." And so it's going to be interesting to see if they can do that physically. Like, I think the impression I got is he feels like they weren't in the right mental place, whether it was not knowing exactly what they were supposed to be doing or just not being intense enough, whatever it was. And so he's focusing there. Well, that's all you really can do. You have the players you've got, but I don't know that will it matter against that defensive line?
Yeah, the point you're making, I think, is a valid one. It may not matter. I don't know that there a couple of spots there. They're just not good enough. They were. Les Harris starting at right tackle is infinitely better than Jazz starting at right tackle. I think Jazz at guard would have been a nice play, but he's not a tackle, and that's evident.
And if you do get Robert Scott back, that helps.
Yeah. Well, and also, unlike last year, you're not going to be able to block these next 2 teams for long stretches of this game, but you can make them pay for man-to-man coverage outside. You can make them pay in the middle of the field. That's something you weren't able to do last year.
That's good.
Just because you're not great on the offensive line, and nobody ever thought they were great. We thought they were serviceable to better, and they are.
Yeah.
They're still not great, but, NC State gives up points to teams with not great offensive lines a lot. I don't think Clemson has a great offensive line. And NC State gave up, I don't know what, they gave up 30, but I think one of those was after a turnover. But you can go score 3 or 4 touchdowns against this defense. That's not out of the realm of possibility. You've got a very good quarterback, and you've got receivers that go and make plays. So that can still happen. It's going to be a little more shot-taking, I think, than let's just go a 12-play, 80-yard drive. You're going to have to hit some big plays. You didn't hit a lot in that game against Wake. What was their big, did they have a?
They had no real big plays.
Trayshawn had a long run.
Yeah, one 30-yard run.
And McDonald, Cam had like a 30-yard catch, but there were no like 70-yard touchdowns. I think you might need a couple these next 2 weeks.
I'm hoping that they get healthy because the best version of them, and I'm not talking about the guys that are lost for the season. We know they're not coming back. But a healthy Verse and a healthy McClendon and a healthy Fabian Lovett. And, if you get, obviously you just talked about Robert Scott back. I mean, you get all these guys back, Florida State's a pretty good team. And they're the kind of team that if you fool around and don't play your best game in your NC State, you could lose to Florida State. It wouldn't be that stunning. Now, you don't get all these guys back. Physically, the mismatch makes it tough. The venue, the time of the game. I know history has nothing to do with the matchup, but we know Florida State has not fared well up there in these kinds of matchups. Getting off to a good start, I think it certainly would be helpful. It always is. I know it's a resilient bunch, but I just wonder if it avalanches on them a little bit because of the personnel that
is
you're
NC State hurt? Do they have injuries? Like, is it just
yeah,
Florida State?
I hear your frustration, buddy. I hear your frustration.
That's why
it's nobody's
they do,
fault.
and that's why
Okay,
that's why I didn't want to spend a whole lot of time in what I wrote where we talked about the injuries right after the game because everybody's kind of got injuries.
Yeah,
I mean,
but even the ones that are playing. On the school that we cover, there are guys that are playing and starting that aren't 100%, aren't close.
But
and
I
just
would
wonder if other
out,
schools are going through that. They must. It's football.
Well, Boston College barely could field an offensive line against Florida State. So, I mean, I would point out that it's never an excuse. It can be a reason. I mean, that's fair. I mean, it's fair to bring up when you're missing 3 or 4 starters, especially when you're in the middle of a rebuild or you're, in the midst of a
middle
rebuild.
Of a climb.
You're climbing.
Right.
When you're climbing, you don't have room for this. The margin of error is very small.
Right.
Yeah,
once you've arrived, you're in good shape.
Somebody in the chat, Jonathan in the chat mentioned that Cyrus Fagan got hurt. I guess he got hurt recently, the former FSU DB.
Oh, okay.
And they also, of course, have Corey Durden on the defensive line.
They better not be trading jerseys after the game. My man's going to be upset if Florida State trades jerseys.
Corey Durden's played really well since going over there, man.
Yeah, that's a bummer.
He hasn't been super productive this year. But, that position, sometimes the numbers don't tell the story.
You could use them.
But
you could use him here.
It would have been helpful if he were here right now. If he could have seen the vision, if he would have realized what he was walking away from. Damn it, man. Seminole Headlines, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV continues in a moment.
Football at El Jalisco, football at El Jalisco, what a combination. It's a great big celebration. It's football at El Jalisco. I can dig it. Who's playing? Oh, man. Everybody, the ACC, the SEC, all the C's, and even the pros, the Bucks, the Steelers, the Giants, the Cowboys. Wow, far out. You bet, man. When the game is on, it's on at El Jalisco with incredible specials on everything from frosty cervezas to salty margaritas. Does Margarita know? Dios mío, not again. The best place to watch the game is El Jalisco. College, pros, Monday night, Thursday night, you name it, El Jalisco is football headquarters. And with 5 Tallahassee area locations, there's probably an El Jalisco right around the corner right now.
You were always more than my mom. You were my role model, my best friend, and biggest supporter. You filled my days with unconditional love. And you also prepared for the day when you couldn't be here. Because of the woman you were back then, I'm able to be the woman I am now. Your planning made this moment possible.
Set your family up for life. Southern Farm Bureau Life Insurance. Your friends for life.
This is Andy Cohen. When I was a law enforcement officer, I devoted my life to a career of service and protection. Who's protecting you? Give me a call. 850-671-FARM. That's 671-FARM. Helping you is what we do best.
Southern Farm Bureau Life Insurance Company, Jackson, Mississippi. Not licensed to do business in all 50 states.
The weather is unpredictable and can cause issues around your home. Weston Trawick provides commercial, residential, and industrial electrical wiring services, yearly inspections on fire alarms, portable generator sales, and so much more. With 24/7 emergency service and repair, Weston Trawick will be your calm in the storm. Give them a call at 514-0003. Weston Trawick. Professional electrical services day or night. Visit online at westontrawick.com.
Well. Hey, Jeff, look at this place.
Yeah. Well, doing well. It's been a while since I've seen you, brother, but, it hasn't been a while since I've been over to Gordo's. I go there on the regular because of you, Eddie.
Well, we keep you regular.
Well, that's true, but I think of Gordo's as a place to sit down, have a cold beer, talk to your friends, enjoy the sports, eat the delicious food. But I think of you as Uncle Eddie, a man who takes care of his people and takes care of the town.
I appreciate that, Jeff. Hey, and we'll keep you regular.
Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
Physical stress on our bodies can take its toll as the years go by. Whether you're looking to get back into an old sport or just want to spend more time outdoors to explore all life has to offer in our beautiful city, the dedicated team at TOC is here for you every step of the way. You can trust TOC for all your orthopedic needs. And now, scheduling an appointment has never been easier. Just visit teamtoc.com and click schedule online. That's teamtoc.com.
Life is stressful. Dinner shouldn't be. That motto is why Register Sausage has been doing business in the Florida Panhandle and Lower Alabama for over 75 years. A proud sponsor of Seminole Headlines, Register Sausage always provides the best Southern smoked sausage to over 140 grocery stores and restaurants throughout the Southeast. Headliners have discovered the Register's difference. You can too. To find a store that carries Registers near you or to buy directly, head to registermeats.com. That's registermeats.com. Register Sausage. Yay, sausage!
Seminole Headlines returns now. Head to YouTube and search for Warchant TV today to catch the show live or on demand. Now, here's Jeff Cameron, Ira Schofel, and Corey Clark.
Rolling on. Feeling all right. Going to be a good game. I think it's going to be a good game.
Yeah.
I think that was one of the things I was thinking about, I guess, on Sunday was I think this going on the road to face that team might be a good spot for this team right now. Because I do feel like the way they attacked LSU, the way they attacked Louisville on the road, I thought was what we've seen this team can be in terms of from a mentality standpoint.
Loose.
I thought in the Wake Forest game, once they kind of got punched in the mouth, I thought they looked tight. They didn't look until they kind of got back into it. They fought their way back into it, and I thought they played well in the second half, really on both sides of the ball for most of it. Because even that long drive, that 18-play drive, it wasn't like they were Swiss cheese. It was like 3rd and 3, and they give up a 4-yard pass. It wasn't like they just, or they're in position to make plays and just don't make the play. It wasn't like they just quit, even though they had to be tired at the end of a game where Wake had the ball for 40 minutes. But I think going on the road, it might be a good spot for this team, at least early on. We'll see if they can sustain it. But I think they'll come out and play very aggressively, I think, early in this game.
And they should. I really don't think they have anything to lose. I mean, this is, again, a team that's up and coming, trying to find out what their ceiling is. They're not the best team in the conference. They're not a playoff team, but they're just getting better. And you're trying to, cross certain, markers of success along the way. And they could win this game. I certainly would love to put a scare and make this a fourth quarter game and see what happens. The pressure shifts to NC State immediately. They're supposed to win the game. They're favored. They came into the season, NC State did, as a team that a lot of people thought could win the ACC. And they have a veteran quarterback who last year threw 35 touchdowns to 5 interceptions, was one of the most efficient offenses in the country. This year, their offense has struggled. They've really had a hard time putting together back-to-back drives or anything like that.
Yeah.
NC State's been disappointing on offense. So if Florida State's healthy enough defensively, I think they keep that score down. I like Jordan Travis an awful lot in that matchup, by the way, if they can block it up. A lot of this stuff becomes a moot point, and that's why I get back to the physical ailments for Florida State. Jordan may be a better quarterback this year than Leary is, and Florida State may have better backs than NC State has. And, we can point to things that Florida State's doing better. If you can't block them, it really doesn't matter. So we're going to find out early, can the offensive line hold up here, or do they have to win with trickery all night long?
That's an option.
It is.
And
also,
but
it seldom works for a whole game.
You can win with a mobile quarterback. Those make stronger defenses a little less strong.
If he's capable.
Yeah.
I thought there were a couple. I brought it up yesterday to Ira when he joined me on the Jeff Cameron show, whether or not he was totally I thought he was more mobile the week previous. I thought he looked more fleet of foot with the brace on a week ago than he did this past week. I don't know why, but I did. It looked like he moved more fluidly before this game.
Yeah, I just think that's got to be something that's got to be a part of it. It can't be. You can't go into a game thinking Jordan Travis is going to run for 120 yards. You don't want him to do that. Well, it'd be great, I guess. Yeah, but
if he's healthy, he could.
But there's got to be a threat of it. There's got to be against a defense that maybe you don't feel like you're comfortable in blocking. Well, you slow down that rush a little bit when you bust a 26-yard quarterback run. That does happen, and it happens to Florida State.
Well, it happens if he can and if he's healthy. And that's the bigger thing. I mean, like I thought all along coming into this season, there would be a stretch where you would have to unleash him as the dynamic athlete that he is, the runner that he is. And when he showed so much in the way of growth as a pocket passer and as an accurate thrower of the football, it's good that he doesn't have to rely on that, because last year he relied on it a lot.
Yeah.
And he got hurt. And so you're hoping he doesn't have to do it. But there will be some games. This would be one of them that I would have circled, maybe the Clemson game. I hate that they're back-to-back, where you want to design run for Jordan Travis. You want to do things for him where you say, feel free, big dog. If it's open, if it's not open, take off.
But I really think the key to this game, or really the key maybe to telling us what this team can be this season, because I think we're a little curious after this last week defensively, is what does this defense do against an offense that is not very explosive, not very talented? I mean,
not very meshy.
We're not very meshy, but their offensive line has struggled. They don't have great skill players. Leary's playing. He's not putting up the numbers he did in the past. I just don't think he has the weapons that he's had in the past and the offensive line, the protection. So this is a game where, their best win was Texas Tech, but Texas Tech turned it over 3 times, 33 picks.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Texas Tech's backup quarterback.
And I think NC State had like 270 yards of offense in that game. So it's not like they, did a whole lot offensively in that game. So I just think that
you have the better offense in this game.
And now the problem is you're going up against a good defense.
You're going,
but
yes, correct.
Your defense, even with the injuries, especially if you get Verse back, I think should have a decent advantage against their offense. If the defense doesn't win this game by a good sized margin, then you're probably not going to win it.
Well, what I would want to see early is a renewed ability to stop the run between the tackles.
Wouldn't that be something?
I mean, look, man, NC State struggles running the football.
That's what I want to see. And if they don't do it, then they're not going to be able to do it without a healthy Fabian Lovett.
Yeah.
Because the bottom line is, since he's been gone, teams have at moments, and Wake did it this past game, ran the ball right up the gut. And it hasn't been like we've seen anybody really be able to stop that. I think without Lovett in there, you don't have another guy that's a difference maker. You got guys that fill a role nicely, but they're not difference makers. So, and Malcolm Ray hasn't been healthy this whole time when he plays. I mean, you have a lot of banged up guys that are trying to do the job. I don't know that Coop's 100%. He doesn't look like the guy that I saw in camp. So, knock on wood, all those guys are feeling better, but they've been blockable when they've been asked to do it. Farmer's young, it's just that's the thing.
That's the thing, and I think that's going to be important this week, because you've got these younger guys that they're starting to work in.
Yeah, they are.
Farmer, Patrick Payton, Daniel Lyons, that I think they're going to have to depend more on. But that's not always.
It's not a good matchup. Sometimes
when you're playing a redshirt freshman against older college players. Now their offensive line's not very good, so maybe those guys can win those battles.
Well, and I think we also have to realize what this roster is, in the sense that back in the day, the glory days, a redshirt freshman at Florida State at defensive tackle, they get on the field, probably going to be an NFL player back then. Now he's a redshirt freshman that's a project, and they're different, right?
Like take 2-3 years to get him to where
you're
he needs
not
to be.
getting. Some of these guys might end up being awesome, but you're not getting the ready-made dudes that are usually good after a year and a half. They need a lot of development, and when you lose dudes on the defensive line, you see how much development is needed. I think a real bright spot to me is that I think Patrick Payton might be a guy.
Yeah,
like I think
he's going to watch, hasn't he?
He's going to be a guy. I think he's still just a redshirt freshman. He's still got to get bigger and stronger and everything else, but you can tell he can play.
Yeah,
that's good. That's good. That's
I'm excited about the long-term prognosis of this team. It's what happens is when we go from that 10,000 feet view and we get down here on the ground, everybody starts to panic, because right here, right now, they may not be able to get a win this Saturday. And we're talking about the game this Saturday. Yeah. But the big picture is fine for Florida State. I mean, they're moving in the right direction. I don't want anybody to get this twisted where they think we're down on the team. We're not down on the team. I mean, we hoped that 8-4 was doable. I dare say, even if they go 4-3 after a tough stretch, they could still go 8-4.
Right.
I didn't talk to you. I didn't listen to y'all's segment last week or yesterday. I assume it was great.
You missed out.
That's what the hell you are.
22 minutes.
Oh, I bet. Yeah. Sure.
I couldn't get him off the air.
Couldn't get him off. It was the whole hour.
I thought I was just going to take over the hour. I was about to just turn off my mic.
I assumed y'all talked about this. We don't want to have to harp on it, but it is something that is a big deal when you're playing close games.
Kicker.
What do you do?
I asked him specifically. He didn't have a good answer.
I think I got to it at the end.
The 20-yard line.
No,
4th and 7.
That Johnny Wilson becomes your kicker.
Oh,
I just think,
you
man,
just throw it up to him
on 2-point plays in the red zone, 4th and 12, whatever. Johnny Wilson. That's my answer. Throw it up to Johnny Wilson. I mean, look, man.
Man.
I don't know. I mean, look. Obviously, they're at least expanding their search a little bit.
Yeah, practice today. There was another kicker going.
They're expanding the search.
They're expanding the search, and they both Fitzgerald and I just can't remember the kid's name.
Aiden Shariari.
There you go. They both made their kicks. One was like a 30-yarder, one was a 40-yarder for both of them. They both made it. So,
well, thanks.
There you go.
They got multiple kicks. They both made them all.
Yeah.
So
there's something.
But Ryan made them all last week too. So
we've got 3 big-time thank yous to get to in order of appearance. If you would, Director Matthew, let's get to these guys because they're awfully kind and they have nice words to say and/or questions or both. So, Brandon writes, USC fan, been listening since I was at FAMU.
How about that?
I love you guys. Keep up the great work. Best listen every week.
Oh, thanks,
Brandon.
You think that's Southern Cal or South Carolina?
It's got to be Southern Cal. Nobody calls South Carolina USC
never
except
know.
people that live there.
Yeah. And who's a South Carolina fan other than the fine folks there in Columbia, South
Right.
Carolina?
There aren't many of them.
We appreciate you, Brandon.
Drew writes, thanks for all the wonderful content and laughs. It's been fun watching the Warchant Empire grow from afar. Well, it's been fun to be here on the ground and watch it grow too, guys.
Yeah,
it's been fantastic.
It's shooting to the moon, this thing.
Thanks, Drew.
Thanks, Drew.
Thank you, Drew.
Thank you very, very much.
man.
Scott, I love my Noles, but can we take a second to marvel at Wake's execution? How do they run that shotgun slow mesh over and over and never screw it up? Hartman only had one bad throw. Damn it, Greedy. Yeah, we'll be lamenting that one. So will he for
Even
some
if
time.
he just not, you don't have to intercept it.
It'd
Just
be nice
knock
though.
It down.
Might be a pick 6.
Yeah, but if you knock it down, you're getting the ball back down by 7 points with a whole lot of time left.
The
ifs, ands, or buts, buddy.
Yep.
The thing about Wake's offense.
Thank you. Was that Scott Kinnebrew? Old Kin Dog?
Yep.
Old Brew.
That's
Brew
it.
House.
Appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Scott.
The thing about Wake's offense, when you went back, I went back and watched Hartman's interview and Clausen's interviews after the game, and they said, look, man, we knew that we had to be able to run the football in this game because they saw what we did to Clemson secondary.
Correct.
So we knew they were not going to let us do that. So they were going to play a too high shell, and we need to be able to run the football. So that's what they worked on all week. It's just depressing that they could not run the football really all season, and they ran it against you. I mean, that's
I was.
Were you in the stands for that game?
Yeah.
By your dad?
Yeah.
How many people around you or near you are saying, "What is this all?" Like it's like Stephanie after the game was like,
"Babe, to see it for a while."
But for some, like Stephanie she knew that Wake was good, but she didn't. She's like, "What is that offense where they scoot to the line together? Like how is that?"
I think the most she's hitting on a good point. By the way, it's not just the slow mesh. There are some teams that run a slow mesh, but Hartman's feet are up against the back of the offensive lineman's feet. I mean, he is up on the line of scrimmage, and this is where we get back to going into the game. We did say you have got to have somebody that can disrupt that.
Well, Burst was
in there, he did. Yeah. But in the interior, if you're going to do that, Fabian Lovett driving a center back through Hartman's hip would have been nice. You know, you have to have somebody to do that. If you do not affect that mesh, he's patient. I think that's the thing where you give Hartman credit. A lot of guys can run this, but to do it to perfection is to not panic.
Yeah.
Think about your internal clock. If you or me or anybody else is trying to do this,
and he doesn't care if he gets hit.
He does.
Yeah.
He's
a tough kid.
He's a tough kid. So you have to find the right guy to run this offense. He has to understand it thoroughly and never panic. While there's chaos going on all around him, he's sitting there going, no. Okay, you go. Or no. Oh, there, you cheated. Boom, got you 7 yards. It's just he runs it to perfection. It is a Dolphin into the cap. He's good.
That's what I was going to say. Is the offense is good, and Clausen's a really good coach, and they do look.
It's annoying as hell.
No doubt, it's all there. There's a lot that goes into it above Sam Hartman, but I think Sam Hartman is the secret sauce. I mean, he made every right decision.
He's only a junior too, by the way.
6-year junior.
He's only a junior.
It's time for him to take to the league, though.
I don't think he's gonna. I don't know that he's an NFL prospect.
Well, there are plenty of guys on league rosters right now are as ass sorry as they come, and he's better than them.
Can we do a reverse NIL?
Can we
pay him to go?
Pay him to go, or pay him to come to Florida State?
Well, that would work.
Rising Spear, can you please pay him money to leave Wake Forest?
What would it take to get Sam Hartman to leave?
Focusing right now on keeping Jordan.
Yeah, that's true. But if Travis leaves, then you got Sam Hartman's your backup.
Divert that money.
But either way, what's a good price to get him to leave? Because I think you beat Wake next year if Sam Hartman's not there.
Sure, I think you probably do.
So how
too.
much is a win worth?
Especially as they're trying to build somebody to that point again. I mean, that's why Wake goes through these cycles It's hard when you have a veteran-laden team like they did, aided by the COVID year, and those guys get an extra year to come back.
Yeah.
They've got a ton of guys that are 24 years old. I do think, again, a couple things we hit on last week, we weren't oblivious to this. A, if you don't have somebody to disrupt the mesh, Hartman will hurt you. B, this is the first team that can throw the football from the pocket effectively over and over again that you faced all year.
And he made some
and
not every throw was wide open, man.
He made some tough throws. And so this was going to be a different test. FSU passed the test against the two most mobile quarterbacks you're going to face all year long, by far, besides Anthony Richardson, if he's healthy. But, I mean, that's, again, that was going to be a test. They don't have an elite secondary at Florida State. And, I mean, you saw what happened. If you can't get home or you don't disrupt that mesh.
I mean, literally, you just said it, though. I mean, they give up 230 passing yards to Sam Hartman. If you'd have known that before the game, Hartman's only going to throw for 230, like, Florida State's going to win this game. They give up 180 rushing.
I think
that's why they lost
about
the game.
The third and serviceable, though. Florida State found themselves in a lot of really bad third down situations, and Wake Forest found themselves in third and manageable most of the day. And that's why they were 10 of 18 on third down and 3 of 3 on fourth down.
And that, I think what was frustrating a little bit to me, well, a lot to me, was even in some of those third and longs for Florida State, they weren't impossible. But at least a couple times, the routes were like 5-yard routes on 3rd and 11, and Jordan's throwing the check down. In those situations, it's like there has to be better awareness from him and also sometimes the receivers about, man, where are you trying to get to? This, and that you don't see Wake making those mistakes. But again, this is a that's a mature team.
Yeah, I do think it's fair to say Jordan had his B game. I don't think he was great on Saturday. He's been better in every game prior to this.
He was good in the second half. He was not great in the first half.
Yeah. So I mean, I would have given him a B for the game. He wasn't the problem.
No,
but I would have given him a B. He's capable of a lot more than what we saw there. A couple ill-advised throws, including one in the middle in the end zone there into double coverage when he's got a guy open off to the left. Couple of moments like that, but that can happen when you're a little bit flustered because your tackles are getting their ass kicked.
But he was also like he had to throw after the crazy hold. He had to throw to Toafili down the sideline. That's a touchdown. It's just a yard too deep, man. And when
it's a little off,
it's a small window to throw it there.
The screen gets dropped. That to Toafili. That would have been.
That's a 30-yard play at least.
Lawrence didn't have himself a good day, by the way.
He had that one run on 3rd and 6.
That was a good run,
man. I've never seen him run like that in my life. He got low to the ground. He ran hard.
I think he was feeling it. I think he was probably frustrated with himself.
I also think he got challenged, maybe, but he ran as hard as he's ever run. But yeah, there were some throws in the first half where Jordan just missed guys the throws he's been making. But yeah, he was not the problem.
I'm curious to see how they come out. I'm anxious for this game. Again, I was anxious for this game this past Saturday because what it could say about where this team is headed and what was achievable. Now I'm anxious to see the response to this kind of adversity, and then also what's in them. What are they? Because if you come out and play well early, this isn't a goofy offense that you're facing. This isn't gimmicky or anything like that. If you can come out and stop the run early, and I'd be hell-bent on doing so, NC State's passing offense has taken a backseat to last year's team by a lot. It could get interesting, and the longer this goes on and is close, the better I'll feel about Florida State's chances of actually getting this win, because I think all the pressure is certainly on NC State.
Just picture it, guys. It's 28-28. There's a minute left. Florida State's got the ball at the NC State 19-yard line. You just center it. You center the ball.
You just got to kneel in the middle so you get your guy ready to go.
We talk about these close games, and we think it's going to be a close game. That is something you always come back to is, what is my man going to do?
The point is, after this week, if they haven't found a new kicker, we're not allowed to really bring this up. It'll just be common knowledge that you have to go for it anytime you're inside the other team's.
But I wonder what the limit is, like 4th and 12, 4th and 16.
Let me ask you, would you have thrown it up to Johnny Wilson there or kicked the field goal?
The limit is Johnny Wilson available? That's the limit to me.
Yeah. But, I mean, so what if you're at the 8-yard line? And there's 10 seconds left.
He shoot an extra point.
Yeah.
I think he answered your question.
I still think he's going to try to kick a game winner from the 8-yard line or the 12-yard line. Don't you?
I'd like to think.
But isn't it crazy?
What about the one?
No, I mean, an extra point. Are you setting up an extra point? Like, I don't know what he's going to do. It's going to be fascinating to see how he changes the way he coaches.
Aggravating is what it is. Fascinating is one word. Aggravating is the
other.
Aggravating is what it is.
Man. Come on.
Seminole Headlines, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV continues in a moment.
Your local news now.
Florida Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services Commissioner Nikki Fried and the state's Chief Financial Officer Jimmy Petronis warned residents and businesses of Florida to be aware of fraudulent websites and charity fraud schemes targeted at Hurricane Ian relief assistance while providing resources to research and safely donate to storm recovery. They recommend individuals to research organizations in the state by going to its Check a Charity database or by visiting its Consumer Resources website. Florida CFO encourages individuals who want to donate to Hurricane Ian relief to contribute at floridadisasterfund.org. Both branches of Florida government recommend not to give into pressure or rush tactics to give money. Those types of acts are more associated with scams, and to be cautious of clicking on links in unsolicited emails, text messages, Facebook, Twitter, or any social media fundraising messages. By clicking on the compromised link, those messages could have harmful impacts to your device. This is Rachel Lene with your Real Talk 93.3 local news update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems. Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Mainly sunny skies and calm this afternoon with a high of 79. Winds out of the northeast, 5 to 10 miles per hour. Partly cloudy skies tonight, lows around 56. Daytime highs approaching 84 tomorrow, mainly clear. Sunny skies and calm Thursday with daytime highs approaching 86. 89 Friday. This report is brought to you by The Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 75.
Siri, tell me a joke. The past, present, and future walk into a bar. It was tense.
All jokes aside, the trained professionals at Macklemore Systems are serious about Apple products. For all your Mac repairs, call Macklemore Systems at 894-3622. 894-3622.
Your next chance to win $1,000 is coming up at 3 p.m. Don't miss your chance to shake the 93.3 money tree and see what falls out. Planted by the law offices of Face It Brooks. Come back stronger with Face It Brooks.
Life is stressful. Dinner shouldn't be. That motto is why Register Sausage has been doing business in the Florida Panhandle and Lower Alabama for over 75 years. A proud sponsor of Seminole Headlines, Register Sausage always provides the best Southern smoked sausage to over 140 grocery stores and restaurants throughout the Southeast. Headliners have discovered the Register's difference. You can too. To find a store that carries Registers near you or to buy directly, head to registermeats.com. That's registermeats.com. Register Sausage. Yay, sausage!
Here's what you missed on the Greg Tish Show.
We need to have history. We need to have literature. It deserves an explanation. We don't need to be promoting lifestyles that come into play for your average elementary school.
Well, I had an experience with this. When my daughter was in school, her teacher gave her a book to read, but then she asked me what the C word is.
That was in the book.
That was in the book.
Okay, so talking about the C word. So you're talking about conservatives, right?
The Greg Tish Show, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m., only on Real Talk 93.3.
Seminole Headlines returns now. Head to YouTube and search for Warchant TV today to catch the show live or on demand. Now, here's Jeff Cameron, Ira Schofel, and Corey Clark.
Florida man in Texas asks us and contributes to do so. Thank you, Florida man in Texas. What's y'all's analysis of Wake and NC State compared to Clemson? Clemson greater than Wake, greater than NC State, that kind of order there.
I think that's fair.
I think that's probably fair. Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I mean, you could flip Wake and Clemson. Like Wake kind of controlled that game.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like they won because they were at home. It wasn't a home field advantage. I mean, what Clemson couldn't cover.
Well, yeah, no, that's fair. But if
Clemson's secondary was riddled with injuries, had freshmen throughout. But
and if this is something, we're going to be talking about next week. But I mean, if DJ Uiagalelei is going to be a decent college quarterback,
and he has been all year,
that's trouble.
He's actually been pretty good.
I thought Florida State could win this game coming into the season,
right?
Because I expected to either be him playing poorly or the freshman.
Yeah, he's playing well.
If he's going to play well, you're going to have a tough time winning that football game.
You won't win the game.
So to me,
you won't.
This game, and you got to win this
game. Go win this one.
I mean, really,
if you're going to get one of the three.
I really thought, in going into the season, I thought they would win Wake at home and Clemson at home, or beat Wake at home, have a good chance to get Clemson at home. I did not think they would win at NC State.
Now you're like,
that needs to be the one they win. And I think they have a decent chance. Wake's not nearly as good, or NC State's not nearly as good as we thought they were going to be. And I do think this team will play well away from home. I think you guys may not agree. I just felt like part of the problem in that first half was maybe the weight of a significant game. Whereas, because again, I just go back to that Florida game. They played so out of character in that Florida game. They had played so well, winning 5 of 7 games. And the games they lost at Clemson and then the game without Jordan and several other key players who were sick. They went to Florida and just played terrible. And part of it was
got
Jordan
baited in the pregame fight.
Yes, and just got emotional and lost their minds. And I thought there were some similarities to what we saw in the first half of that game Saturday. I don't think any of that's going to be a factor in this game. I think they're going to be more like what we saw against LSU and Louisville.
If they lose, they're just not good enough this weekend.
Right.
I agree with that. I don't know that I completely agree with you, and I'm not saying there's not elements of it. It's hard to know with players. I don't know that they pressed, and that's why they lost last week. I don't know if that is what you're saying.
I do think that they got out of themselves.
But I think the other team can cause that.
I thought that was more. I thought it
those
was more,
tackles got whooped early.
And I don't even know. I thought it was maybe not the stage as much because it's still Wake. I know Wake's good, but it's still Wake. I think it was what the Wake's offense was doing.
Yeah, but I thought it started before Wake even got the lead. I thought once Wake scored and it became 7-7, I think they had it in their minds that we have to score every time we get the ball, because if we don't, we're going to be in trouble, because that's how
what
good
I'm saying. Because it looked like, the Florida State made Wake punt, but only because they had a hold on a 4th and 1. Otherwise, Wake was moving the ball just fine. And then the very next time they get it, they go right down the field. I think Jordan Travis and company are thinking, well, we're going to have to score 40 today. We got to make big plays to answer this and not be ourselves.
And so,
I thought
I
got them out of it a little bit.
But I think that combined with just knowing that there's more on the line now. Again, man, when you start a season,
that was the last time they played
last year,
game that mattered.
That's what I'm saying. At 0-4, nothing mattered until they got to the Florida game. At that point, when you're 0-4, man, you are just fighting for your life. Nobody thinks you're going to do anything. Nobody thought you'd beat Miami. Nobody thought you'd win any of those games. So then you go to Florida. Now it's a game where, man, there's something on the line. We could get to a bowl game. This would be huge. And you're playing a team that lost its head coach, and they've got interim coaches and all this. Now there's pressure to actually play well. And I think that I thought that affected them in the first half. Then when they got down 28-7, it was like, all right, just go
Here
play.
Goes nothing. Yeah. Well, hey, that's on Norvell then. Norvell's got to get this guy.
That's my theory.
Up.
I'm not, you're certainly entitled to disagree. I just don't think it's only because of that, because Jordan's played well in games where offensive line didn't play well before.
He has.
And I'm not saying it was all him, but it just, nothing seemed settled.
Yeah, I thought the marriage of those two things in the first half, though, I think you're both right here to some extent. Look, the fact that Florida State, after the scripted drive to start the game, goes punt, miss field goal, punt, or whatever it was.
Fumble. There's a fumble in there.
Well, the fumble that sets up a 39-yard touchdown. Probably ratchet up the pressure there, because at that point, empty possessions in a game where to your point, Wake is going to move the ball, and they were moving the ball. It can catch up with you. Yes, you can begin to grip, if you will, in that situation. But some of why they weren't moving the ball was physical. They were getting whipped. And now Jordan's kind of scrambling around a little bit, maybe not feeling 100%. I don't know that, but it would stand to reason given his knee injury. And they missed on some throws. And so maybe that is the tightness. But when you're having empty possessions and the other team is scoring, you begin to maybe begin to try to tree a little bit. Yeah.
And eating up the clock.
Well,
not just scoring,
couldn't get off the field.
Eating up the clock. And that's the one thing where I think it was a perfect storm for Florida State in a poor way for them, was the fact that their offense got some empty possessions, and then Wake Forest is those methodical drives just ramps up that pressure. Now, again, give them a lot of credit in the second half. They fought back. I don't know what happens if Florida State doesn't drive down and score on their first drive of the second half. If NC State goes down the way they did, goes up 28-7, if you have an empty possession there, I don't know if the defense rises up the way they did.
Probably get blown out. Yeah. But can we talk about the most disappointing defensive possession of the season is the opening to the second half?
It was crazy.
It
didn't look like anything we had seen.
It was the sorriest looking effort I had seen all year long.
It was a COVID effort.
It
was a
2020
effort.
It bothered me because that's the effort coming out of halftime where you hope whatever was said is enough to get guys focused, intense, understanding that the game is in the balance.
Yeah,
get a stop here, guys, and let's get our way back into this game. And they were a sieve.
I wonder, there's two, and I don't know, that's probably not the right time, but maybe during that drive, but definitely during Wake's 18-play drive, do you take a timeout on some of those third downs and just because those plays are so big. Any of those plays
are
so big.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's easy to say in hindsight because they end up going on an 18-play drive. But I just wonder, because they were gas, man, at the end of that game. I mean, that was a big part of it. They played 85 snaps on defense.
Say regular.
I can.
Yeah, you
all right,
can
I
say
got it.
regular.
Just hold on.
Corey coached me up. I got it.
Just say regular.
Corey coached me up.
Well, I was about to do the same, but say
Because
regular.
I'm
he's
going
doing it the
straight
way
to
I told him.
All right,
jumping
well,
off the,
here's
I'm
why.
going off the 10-meter board.
You're getting paid to do it. I didn't just do this out of nowhere.
Regularly.
All right.
But tell him what I told you to do.
Regularly.
Right. That's what I was just about to do.
He's not an irregular Lee. He's not a weird
It's
Lee.
a regular
Right.
Lee.
He's just a regular Lee.
Yeah.
You see Lee walking down the street. Hey, man,
He's
that's a regular Lee.
Yeah, that's just
walking
him,
down
Lee.
there.
Yeah.
Thanks, Quay. I
Yeah,
appreciate
Quay.
the.
Quay came in there
incentive.
with $5, wanting to hear Ira say it. You said it.
I'm not going to try again. I'm
Now-
Yeah, you're 1 for 1, man. That's great.
I saw the nerves rise a little bit. But
Little bit.
unlike the
I
Florida State offense,
started rat trap a little bit.
unlike the Florida State offense, you gathered yourself.
I'll tell you what, I think that bodes well for you. Talk about response. Like Norvell preaches response all the time. You responded to a horrific week last week.
Fitz, you watching?
Yeah,
Hey,
This is what we do. This is what we do.
Yeah.
This was the rematch.
Yeah,
Ira
that's right.
said, I ain't going
That's
out
a
like that.
1-round TKO.
Yeah, I mean, it was, well, I let it go 4 last time before we threw in the towel late in
Yeah,
the show when
yeah.
we tried that last time. That's it. Throw in the towel. We're done here. This word is beating Ira's ass. So not this time around. So we could have round 3. We could have a third version of this fight.
Kim calls me up on her way home, and she's like, "You can't say regularly."
Oh, I love it. The
And-
listeners
yeah,
reaching out to your
yeah,
wife.
yeah.
Isn't that the best?
Because she never listens.
But
It is crazy, Ira. I know you don't take offense to it, but it is. I'm telling you, if she had a podcast about yarn, you would listen to it occasionally.
I don't think so.
If Christy starts listening, Kim will start listening.
But
Yeah, but
I'm
think
blaming Christy.
You don't think if Christy had a podcast, and I'm not saying you'd listen to the whole thing. How
I
could
would
you?
never.
You would listen to a segment here or there. Just check in every month.
Maybe they could do a yarn podcast together.
Oh my
Christy
God.
into yarn?
No. She'd have to learn from
Ira
Kim.
just assumes all women are into yarn.
I would try to do that too. But I'm just saying, no, if my wife were doing, and nothing, hey, listen, whatever you're into. But if my wife was doing a podcast about yarn, I wouldn't hear a second.
You would
Not
want to
one.
hear.
I'd hear how she opens the show so I can criticize.
Exactly. That's all
Like-
I'm saying. The production value of it too. Or like if Stephanie had a podcast about The Bachelorette, I would never listen to that.
Of course not.
Except for the first 30 seconds or a minute. Just see how she gets the flow
Yeah,
of the
see how
show
it
going,
goes.
and then. But no.
But what? But see, even if you did that, it wouldn't solve Ira's like why you're criticizing. Kim wouldn't know any of this still. Like
She
you
just
still
know
wouldn't know.
all she would know is register sausage. She would listen to the register sausage part.
Given that it's time for hour number 2 and headliner questions, we should move.
No hour
into-
number 2 from Corey this week. I can tell you that.
No,
much.
you missed your opportunity. You screwed the listeners over
How
weeks in a
about
row.
I will say this: if they win the next 2, that's hour number 2.
Here we go.
Worthy.
Once again, empty
And
promises.
it's in my temple. It's in my head. Hour number 2 if they win the next 2 games.
You won't stick to it. If they win at NC State, though, maybe we should do something to celebrate the NC State culture.
Shots in here next time.
I'll take off my shirt. I don't care.
We know that.
Everyone was shunned, recoiled last week learning of such a thing. Hour number 2 forthcoming. Stay with.
Many orthodontists in Tallahassee can straighten a smile, but at Birch Orthodontics, they're dedicated to providing the finest care possible. The experienced and friendly staff is trained in all of the latest techniques. So whether you need standard treatment like braces or Invisalign, or you have a more complicated case requiring extra attention, Birch Orthodontics is here for you. Set up your free consultation today by visiting birchorthodontics.com, BURCH orthodontics.com, or call 850-877-1692. At Birch Orthodontics, they create beautiful smiles that last a lifetime.
Every day, Sellers makes life a little better for homeowners, helping them find the best design ideas for their homes with the best quality tile, carpet, and hardwood flooring. Even mosaics, ceramic, and vinyl solutions are at their fingertips in their remarkable showroom. Maybe it's time for you to get the Sellers advantage for your home or office. Find them on Capitol Circle Northeast, just north of Mahan Drive, or online at sellerstile.com. For style, quality, and design, get the Sellers advantage. In Tallahassee, call 656-8453.
Imagine for a moment that you are completely weightless with zero gravity. All of your worries and stress melt away. Your mind stops racing and you fall into a profound state of pure relaxation. This is available to you right now at Tallulah Delta 8 Plus Floating in Railroad Square for just $50. These state-of-the-art floating pods are unlike anything else you've ever experienced, and while you're there, you can shop for some of the latest and greatest CBD and Delta 8 products on the market. Natural pain management, stress relief, and better sleep are all at your fingertips at Tallulah. Tell them Jeff Cameron sent you and thank me later.
There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas Wall, featuring 560 inches of flat screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
If you're like most Americans, you're pretty much in disbelief with what's going on in the world. As we all know, global problems are having local consequences. Too many of them. And if the peanut butter really hits the fan, are you ready? Grocery store supply chains are only as strong as their weakest link. Don't wait for them to break. Now's the time to secure emergency food for everyone in your family. My Patriot Supply is America's largest preparedness company. Our specially packaged and delicious food stays fresh for up to 25 years in storage. It'll be there when you need it. Go to mypatriotsupply.com and pick up several emergency food kits. There are a dozen different sizes that average over 2,000 calories per day. Our food kits will ship quickly and discreetly to your door. Having food storage in your home beats government food lines hands down. Go to mypatriotsupply.com today and prepare for what's coming.
Coming up next, more of the Jeff Cameron Show. Live and local on Real Talk 93.3. WVFT, Greta, Tallahassee.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm John Scott. Florida Senator Marco Rubio warning against lawmakers including pork barrel spending and a relief package for Hurricane Ian. Bob Agnew reports.
Senator Rubio says he'll vote against a federal aid bill for his state if it includes pork spending projects unrelated to the storm. Sure, he told CNN's Dana Bash, I'll fight against it having pork in it. Rubio noted he's voted against hurricane relief bills in the past that were loaded with pork and in favor of all that were not. Florida took a pounding last week from Ian when it blew ashore as a Category 4 hurricane, leaving nearly 50 people dead. Bob Agnew reporting.
With the massive destruction left behind by Hurricane Ian, Town Hall News and our companion news network, SRN, is partnering with Christian nonprofit relief organization Food for the Poor to rush emergency supplies and portable generators to survivors in Georgia, the Carolinas, and Florida. More information available on the website srnnews.com. Also at townhall.com, North Korea sends a missile soaring over Japan in an escalation of military aggression. Bernie Bennett with that story.
North Korea conducted its longest ever weapons test, a nuclear-capable ballistic missile that flew over Japan and could reach the U.S. Pacific territory of Guam and beyond, forcing the Japanese government to issue evacuation alerts and halt trains. The South Korean and U.S. militaries responded by launching fighter jets, which fired weapons at targets off South Korea's west coast in a show of strength against North Korea. The North Korean missile launch was its most provocative weapons demonstration this year, as it pushes to develop a fully fledged nuclear arsenal capable of threatening the U.S. mainland and its allies, with the goal of wresting concessions from those countries. Bernie Bennett reporting.
Loretta Lynn, the Kentucky coal miner's daughter, who was a pillar of country music, has died. She was 90. Loretta passed away at her ranch in Hurricane Mills, Tennessee. More at townhall.com.
Hey, I'm Andy. If you don't know me, it's probably because I'm not famous. But I did start a men's grooming company called Harry's. The idea for Harry's came out of a frustrating experience I had buying razor blades. Most brands were overpriced, overdesigned, and out of touch. At Harry's, our approach is simple. Here's our secret. We make sharp, durable blades and sell them at honest prices for as low as $2 each. We care about quality so much that we do some crazy things, like buy a world-class German blade factory. Obsessing over every detail means we're confident in offering a 100% quality guarantee. Millions of guys have already made the switch to Harry's, so thank you if you're one of them. And if you're not, we hope you give us a try with this special offer. Get a Harry's starter set with a 5-blade razor, weighted handle, shave gel, and a travel cover, all for just $3 plus free shipping. Just go to harrys.com and enter 3388 at checkout. That's harrys.com. Code 3388. Enjoy.
Whitten Glass has been taking care of families since 1945.
Experienced, reliable professionals who offer only the best, like Whitten's top-of-the-line bath enclosures. Eye-catching storefronts are a specialty at Whitten Glass, and they provide precise installation.
Whitten Glass, Tallahassee's first family in glass. Online at wittenglass.com. Call 850-222-5781.
Many orthodontists in Tallahassee can straighten a smile, but at Birch Orthodontics, they're dedicated to providing the finest care possible. The experienced and friendly staff is trained in all of the latest techniques. So whether you need standard treatment like braces or Invisalign, or you have a more complicated case requiring extra attention, Birch Orthodontics is here for you. Set up your free consultation today by visiting birchorthodontics.com, BURCH orthodontics.com, or call 850-877-1692. At Birch Orthodontics, they create beautiful smiles that last a lifetime.
It's time for Seminole Headlines, featuring Warchant.com's Jeff Cameron, managing editor Ira Schofel, and senior writer Corey Clark. Your weekly dose of all things FSU, pistols, and pies starts right now. Here's Jeff Cameron.
Hour number 2, headliner questions forthcoming. Appreciate you joining us, Jeff, Corey, and Ira, and you. Appreciate it. Like, subscribe if you're watching on Warchant TV. If you haven't joined Warchant yet, come on, you bump on a log. Let's get to.
What's the matter?
Let's go.
It's just $10. That's what it is now.
It is $10 now. You know, at the Nebraska
$10 for
site,
the year or $10?
$10 for the year, buddy.
For the year.
We're still giving it away, gang.
Really, I actually, they didn't ask my opinion, but I put a send to all in the On3 community, and I wrote that that's a crime. I don't like it.
Warchant.
Nobody got back to me, but I just let them know. I thought, we're just giving it away. I don't know why we have to do this. It's the best in the network.
Yeah.
Quite literally. I mean,
Best in the nation.
We're well on our way to 13,000 already. It's happening, you know. And I think as the premier site on the On3 network, we ought to charge $700 a month. And I think there's a good chance we get it.
Yeah,
you don't know until you ask.
Yeah, exactly right.
You just don't know.
All they can do is say no and
we keep
unsubscribe.
lowballing it.
Yeah.
You know,
this is why Tom stopped taking. Good work, Matt. This is why Tom stopped taking you on the sales calls.
Yeah.
What are we doing here, gang?
Well, I shoot for the moon.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid to ask for the money. That's part of being a good salesman, is being able to ask for the money.
Speaking of, Birch has to re-up here soon, right? With what we're doing for that great company.
I mean, she's probably run out of staff members and tools to fix teeth with all the people piling through her door thanks to the advertising here. Yeah, it's crazy. Birch Orthodontics does a great job. Ira's kids went there. My kids went there.
Stephanie's son just got braces yesterday.
Her daughter already had the braces there and got out of them and has perfect teeth.
Apparently, Heather wasn't a real fan. I didn't know you could like color your braces, or not the braces, but the bands thing. He got red and black, and he's not a Georgia fan. He's just he just wanted those colors because they look great. We all know that. And she was not a big fan of that. She was hoping for garnet and gold. Garnet gold colored, but hey.
Nonetheless, that's the only disappointed person.
Exactly right.
Birch Orthodontics. You want to tell them about Birch?
Yeah, Dr. Birch does a great job. They do all the latest techniques, the Invisalign, whatever you need from an orthodontic standpoint. Great customer service. They'll put your kids at ease. That was why I first started this trend of our families going there.
That's true, you did.
My oldest was just felt so comfortable there. She was so nervous about going and getting braces. Went to a couple other places, didn't have the best experience. Dr. Birch's staff was awesome. They also have payment plans. They make it as easy as possible and do great work. So birchorthodontics.com is the website, located over on the northeast side of town and convenient, right near the highways, near Capitol Circle.
It's safe to say the official orthodontist of Seminole Headlines.
That's true.
Right.
The official orthodontist of Seminole Headlines.
I'll say that.
Gator Kirk writes, good afternoon. What 3 players have been a positive surprise this year? Hoping for some victory sausage this weekend, boys. Go Noles. I'd say Renardo Green.
Yeah.
And then oddly, you have to, qualify this, but I would say Jordan Travis to the extent that he's now,
for sure,
arguably the best quarterback in the conference. And then I don't know.
Johnny Wilson's been better. We were
higher on him than I was, but he's been better than
I expected.
He's been great. That's a good one.
He made a couple of nice catches. I mean, they were down by 10 points with 3 minutes to go, but that last drive, he made some nice catches on the sidelines too. Those weren't easy catches.
The next big thing for him will be to be the consistent guy week to week, where that guy is dynamic. Your best receivers, like if that's his ceiling as an elite receiver, they're great every week.
Yeah, and Norvell talked about on Monday about how he's been working through some things injury wise. But man, I if he can get healthy-ish.
Who the hell on this team is not working through some things
are
injury wise? Good God.
I would like him to be on the field 85 to 90% of the snaps. I think just his presence on the field changes everything.
Yeah.
Just me throwing that out there.
Tony writes, hey guys, I know that there's a lot of talk about Jordan not running the ball in design plays, but why would you run him when he's not fully healthy? Because if he hurts himself again, he may be done for a while, and then people will say, why run him like that when you've got 3 healthy backs? Thanks. 9-3 still in sight for me. That's according to Tony. Yeah, no, I think you have to be measured. If he's not 100%, you're not asking him to run. That's why I wondered aloud, was he? Because I think you could have used his legs in this last game, given what Wake's defensive line was doing.
Especially in that first half when you had the
the way they pitched, though, that's what I mean. You get him out on the edges, that would have ended that.
He took a couple of hellacious shots. He got thrown down right on his shoulder one time. I thought, man, that's not good. But he got back up and threw the ball fine after that. But it's not like you're protected all the time when you're in the pocket.
Hey, by the way, where's the flag on the slide?
Yeah.
I guarantee you Sam Hartman does that at Wake. They're throwing dudes out of the game.
Every ref
there
has this flag.
running
there
in
have been
there.
8 flags.
They're firing it at the guilty party. That was bizarre. What are we doing here, guys? Ryan writes, here's my 2 cents as a former kicker. Go let him kick a soccer ball for a week. Don't look at a football. He'll gain confidence just hitting the ball solid again. It's all in his head at this point. Well, it does appear to be in his head. I mean, we've all seen the angle that everybody posted of the missed 29-yarder. He doesn't even follow through. It's the weirdest kick ever. It's just this little stub in the toe thing. It looks like an abbreviated golf swing, like somebody who just doesn't trust that he can make a swing. And I'm not a kicker. My brother was and got full scholarships to go kick anywhere in the country. And
bring him in here.
Well,
yeah, what's he doing?
He's a marine biologist.
Up? Oh, okay. His eligibility's up?
Yeah, he's older than me. Yeah, it's definitely up. But, he was a great kicker. Had a full ride to Iowa, chose to play soccer at Jacksonville and get his marine biology degree. But he kicked it at a high level. And, it's interesting. He would compare it to a golf swing. And I remember Roberto Aguayo, when I asked him about it, did the same thing. You see some of the similar things there with people who've just lost their swing. Like, it's in your head and you don't do anything fundamentally well. It doesn't look like he is right now. I just don't know, short of being, I'm not a therapist, I'm not a psychiatrist. What do you do to get him back to
He's got to make a kick in a game
or
none of it matters. He's got to make a big kick in a game or he'll never be right. It's the same thing with Rodemaker, man. Rodemaker looked great in practice until he did it in a game.
Yeah.
I think Fitzgerald can make 1,000,000 kicks in practice. You're not going to, he looked like a different kid in the game than he did in practice.
Josh writes, how big of an upgrade has Pittman been as a punt returner? Question mark.
Huge.
I mean, think about where we were a year ago, watching the ball bounce and roll and bounce and roll.
Yeah.
I mean, he catches.
That was a Greg Reed return.
Everything. And then fearless.
Yeah, that was a Greg Reed return.
He had a fantastic game.
Yeah.
In a lot of what he did beyond just the catches and the numbers, man, he was a fierce blocker. He did everything you would ask a receiver to do. Yeah,
he went and dove over 2 Wake Forest guys to go get that fumble, man.
Tough.
So he was on In the Coop with Robert Cooper last night. Robert Cooper to the show that they do with Aslan, courtesy of Rising
Monday
Spear.
night, every Monday night.
Yeah, at Warchant TV. And Micah was the guest last night, and they were talking about that play, the play where he hurdles the guy on the punt return. And he goes, look, man, you got to tackle. If you're going to tackle me, you got to come up high, because if not, you're going to end up on my highlight reel, which is awesome.
Yeah,
that kid's got so. I mean,
a lot of stones.
It's good to have a guy with
son
that
of an NFL
confidence.
football player.
Yes.
It's there's that. Butch writes, hello, boys. Did you guys see any similarities between the way the team practiced last week and the way they played against Wake Forest? I'm curious to hear how this week's practice translates to Saturday night's game against the Wolfpack.
Yeah, I mean, I think we talked about it. Tom talked about it on your show yesterday. I didn't think they were as flat as he did last week. I just thought they weren't sharp. And I don't know if how do you define that? But it didn't look like to me like they were going through the motions. When I think of flat, I think of just no spirit. I thought they had energy. They just didn't look good. They just didn't practice great. And Mike Norvell talked about it last week, and then they didn't play good. But I don't know that it's something you can put your finger on. It's just, hey, bring more energy. Today they had plenty of energy and they were sharp. Maybe those two things go together. I don't know.
Yeah, they were sharper, but it's also like we don't see any other teams practice.
Right.
So it is hard to gauge, like, what does a full intensity, high intensity, full energy practice look like? We know what it looks like with this team. I didn't think it was that far off last week.
No,
I will say this, and Aslan made a joke about it on Wake Up Warchant earlier today, but it's true. Like, the music selection that Tuesday was bizarre. They played.
There are other days where they play bizarre music.
They played Toto.
They do that.
They played Africa. It was all like.
Was it 80s?
They do play some throwback.
Living on a prayer.
They'll play disco sometimes.
Yeah, it was just odd. But obviously, I don't think that had anything to do with it. It was just
fire the DJ.
Well, hey, everybody's job's on the line this week after a loss. I was just saying that that might have led to why it felt like it had such a different vibe.
I want to address this point because I've heard other people say this, so I'm going to answer Mike's question here, and this just I don't know. Okay. He writes, every player is worried about getting yelled at when they F up except the kicker, and that needs to change. Coddling hasn't worked. No, man. No, that's not how it works. When a coach yells at a player, 9 times out of 10 he's going beyond what the play calls for. He's doing something that they don't rep, don't teach, and isn't part of the play design. That is to say, they took something onto their own shoulders and decided to do something outside the design of the play. They make a mental error or they choose to do something outside the design. If it's a physical mistake, such as I drop a pass, such as a guy whoops my ass because he too is on scholarship, I don't come to the sideline and get yelled at typically. It's if you do something,
happen, though.
It can. Yeah. It's football. It's an intense thing, yes. But if I can't block you and you beat me on every play, at some point you need to give me some help. Yelling at me ain't going to change the fact that I can't block you. If I choose to do something outside the play's design,
or if they just like last night, Matthew Stafford threw a pick late in that game, and it looked like Peyton was mad at him. It was like we had just discussed this.
We just talked about don't do this.
This, and you did it. That kind of thing.
Right.
And with a kicker, you don't really have that.
He's missing kicks. His head he's a mess. Yelling at him isn't going to change anything. You can scream at him all day long. That's not changing the dynamic.
Maybe if you went and said, hey, man, you're the worst thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I'm tired of running you out there.
Leadership 101. There it is.
If you miss another kick, you're off scholarship.
Well, you actually can't do that.
Try that.
Do you think caddies yell at their golfers when?
Right. You can't. That's not how that kid's going to get better. Just deciding, you know what, I'm going to give him a hug after his 7th straight miss. That's yelling at him isn't going to change the dynamic.
I think your point. Yeah, like people don't get yelled at for missing a free throw. Like you might get yelled at for a bad pass.
You might get yelled at for not being where you're supposed to be in the defensive principles.
But I think it's because kicker's such an odd, it's such a unique position. I do think DBs get yelled at for getting just run by. I do think quarterbacks get yelled at for throwing interceptions. And I know you're saying it's within the realm of the play, but some coaches yell for physical mistakes too. It happens.
Yeah.
You never see it with a kicker.
No, and nor would you.
Because it's just a different.
Because it's all
between the ears anyhow there with that situation. And most of the time, again,
but
coaches
you might
will
want
forgive
to. You might want to switch it up. You might want to switch it up
at this point.
Start threatening family members.
At this point, if he doesn't figure it out, you're just going to recruit over him and move on. That's all there is to do. The problem is, I think people feel helpless.
Yeah,
they don't like feeling like you're in limbo and there's nothing I can do about it.
And they don't like to think that their head coach just keeps saying he believes.
Well, what's he
going to
say to the press?
What
Screw
would he
this
say?
kid?
Like I don't believe in him. Of course, he's going to say he believes in him. The fact of the matter is, we'll see how much he believes in him Saturday night at 8:00. That'll tell us how much Mike Norvell believes in him. He can say everything he wants because he would.
We saw how much he didn't believe in him last week when he didn't let him kick an extra point.
Yeah.
It's the easiest kick that you're going to kick.
Rolled him out there for that 55-yarder, though.
Gentlemen, what expectations do you have if we never attempt another kick this season? If Mike could, he would make a change already. I'm curious, W's and L's with no PAT or field goal attempts. All right, Nicholas.
Not a bad.
It is a fun question.
Yeah.
How many games do you lose and or maybe win?
I'm going to say you're getting some extra points here or there.
Yeah.
If you're throwing up to 14 every time for an extra point, I feel like you're gonna get at least 50%. He's either gonna catch it or get pass interference.
What would you say the actual percentage would be if you threw it up to Johnny Wilson 5 times in a game? How many is he going to catch?
He's not Mike Evans, so I mean it's a college version. He is a big guy, but the fade is not a great play. I hate that.
No,
I'd run a play for it.
But that's why I like that wasn't really a fade. That was more of a throw it up in the middle of the end zone, let him stop and go get it. Yeah. Not get your feet in the back corner of the end zone like the Rodemaker one time in Louisville. If you just did that 5 times a game, every extra point, don't you think he catches 3 of them?
There are people who have said that, and there are coaches who've
that's an extra point right there. Instead of 5 points, you got 6.
There are coaches who've adhered to the principle that, hey, we're never punting. And then there are guys who've also said, we're never going to kick an extra point. We're going to go for 2 every time.
Well, anybody
and
that says I'm never punting is an idiot and shouldn't coach football. But
there is a guy that's won like a
there's
million
guy
games.
who's won a million national championships doing that.
No, he won a bunch of high school football games, then tried to take it to the small college level and got run out of town. It does not work. It works when you have superior talent in Arkansas or wherever he was coaching.
Right. So if that's the case, then you're not an idiot for never punting.
Well, you can't have analysis that says this is how I'm going to coach every football team of every. I mean, you coach to your team.
I'm saying that there would be instances where it does work, where you're vastly superior physically to another team, and you play with tempo, so you have a million possessions.
It's like the guy that onside kicks every time.
Right. Well,
Great,
that's even less of a chance. I mean, 4th and 3 is a hell of a lot more convertible than an onsides every time.
Yeah, but I mean, there's a guy that does that.
Now, that one I'll go with. You. Michael writes, since we were held all game, why can't our linemen just pop them across the face?
What would you have done? Like I told Ira this yesterday. I think it was you yesterday, Ira. Like one time in that game, don't you just push when they're doing their Scooty-Doo dance towards the line of scrimmage? Don't you just send all 11 guys and just body slam both of them? And if he gets it out and throws a touchdown,
it's a touchdown.
They're going to score a touchdown anyway, probably. But you make Sam Hartman pay because you body slam him as he's throwing the ball.
Your style is a personal affront to me, and I'm going to harm you.
Well, you're not trying to hurt him. You're just you want him to feel you.
You
want him to feel you because it's goofy to just scoot towards the line of scrimmage. Just send 8.
It's goofy in the way of a 10-point victory on the road against the Noles is what it is.
I wish he'd go. It's like
Virginia
I wish
basketball.
Tony Bennett
there you
would get
go.
a job
He'll agree with you on that.
Maybe the
Cowboys
will
has nothing
hire.
To do with style.
Maybe
though.
the Cowboys will hire Dave Clawson.
Brett writes, is it against the law for our corners to play man and jam the receivers? The FSU defense has made nearly every quarterback a Heisman contender playing a soft zone.
Well, that's not true.
That's not true, Brett.
They play a lot of man, too.
They play a
ton of man. And, I mean, you watched that Clemson game. Like, it wouldn't have made – I mean, Clemson got demolished trying to play straight up bump and run man. I thought the corners – I mean, they didn't make any plays.
Go back and watch the LSU game. There's a lot of man and we're right in their faces at times. I mean, they start sometimes with a 2-high shell, bring one guy down. No, I mean, they vary it up.
Well, they blitzed the safety a million times, like 4 or 5 times from 30 yards away in that game.
Jeff writes, do you think FSU would have performed better if they had been able to obtain food, stay in housing with electricity prior to the game? How much of an advantage did this provide the Fighting Clawsons? And lastly, is there a dumber-looking offense than Wake's?
See? It just bothers you. It just bothers you. Just the scooty scoots.
It's dumb and effective, man. That's fine.
He even pats
Wake
them on the
has
back.
a very long history with all of their coaches of having to run gimmicky offenses, although this is just a glorified RPO. But they think all the way back. They've had great coaches who've done more with less, but they've usually had to employ something a little bit different because they're not able to recruit to the level that the better schools in this conference do. I mean, it's not ideal. I didn't go to Wake, so it didn't, whatever, but they find ways to win a lot of games in this conference, and they got like 700 people in their university, so that's doing something.
There was a weird, and I was telling Corey and Aslan about this yesterday, there's a weird trash talk that was brought up in the NC State or the Wake Forest post-game interviews. Their running back, the kid that had 100 yards, said that before the game, some of the FSU guys, when they were talking, a little trash talk before the game on the field, that FSU's defensive players were telling him he had tight hips. So after the game, he wanted to let them know that maybe they had the tight hips.
But
it's just like a weird thing to tell. Like,
here comes old tight hips Johnson again.
I see you and your tight hips over there.
Trying to score touchdowns.
Look
with
at you.
Tight hips.
No chance with those hips, buddy.
Look at these loose hips.
Random.
Well, that is a really weird thing to say.
I know Corey's going to like this because, well, I think universally we agreed with a rolling of the eyes in the moment, and then we'll go to break. Zach writes, 2nd and 20, we decided to call the run there, guys. That was a regrettable moment.
He must be thinking, like Clawson did on a big 3rd and 10 on that 18-play drive. He runs a draw. It gets 7 yards, knowing he's going to go for it on 4th down.
3,
Norvell has to know he's in 4-down territory there, but he ended up not being. But you think you're in 4-down territory. Let me get 7 yards here. Now it's 3rd and 13. It's 3rd and manageable. I got 2 plays to pick up 13. That's the only thing I can think of. But when I got those wideouts and I got that dude throwing it,
well, time of the game matters too, and 2nd and 20 and running the ball.
Wake was snapping it.
I don't complain about play calling all that much. That was a dumb.
I also didn't like before the half the play calling inside the 10-yard line. Run on 2nd and 8.
No secret, red zone's been a bit of an issue with play calling this year. I mean, I think we all kind of agree with that.
I think he got over I think he was a little. worried about the time. I think NC State or Wake's calling timeouts, and I think he's thinking, I've got to use some of this clock.
Yeah, I don't want them.
I don't want to get them the ball back. And
he might, but he might have learned his lesson, because the only other time he got in the red zone in that game, he threw it up to 14. It was a touchdown.
Seminole Headlines, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV continues in a moment.
Football at El Jalisco, football at El Jalisco, what a combination. It's a great big celebration. It's football at El Jalisco. I can dig it. Who's playing? Oh, man, everybody. The ACC, the SEC, all the C's, and even the pros. The Bucks, the Steelers, the Giants, the Cowboys. Wow, far out. You bet, man. When the game is on, it's on at El Jalisco with incredible specials on everything from frosty cervezas to salty margaritas. Does Margarita know? Dios mío, not again. The best place to watch the game is El Jalisco. College, pros, Monday night, Thursday night, you name it, El Jalisco is football headquarters. And with 5 Tallahassee area locations, there's probably an El Jalisco right around the corner right now.
Well. Hey, Jeff, look at this place.
Yeah. Well, doing well. It's been a while since I've seen you, brother, but, it hasn't been a while since I've been over to Gordo's. I go there on the regular because of you, Eddie.
Well, we keep you regular.
Well, that's true, but I think of Gordo's as a place to sit down, have a cold beer, talk to your friends, enjoy the sports, eat the delicious food. But I think of you as Uncle Eddie, a man who takes care of his people and takes care of the town.
I appreciate that, Jeff. Hey, and we'll keep you regular.
Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996. So let's say you're considering buying a new home in the current climate. All heard that demand is high, inventory is low. So how do you get a leg up on the rest of the buyers all making offers on the same house as you? Oh, that's a toughie. But the first place I'd suggest you start is with a call to my friend Shannon at Legendary Home Loans. Shannon will set you up with a complete pre-approval underwriting. It used to be an upgrade, but nowadays it's got to be standard. You want to get your offer on a new home pushed to the front of the line, you need a TBD full underwriting approval from Legendary Home Loans. You'll shorten or even remove your financing contingency, and the sellers will know that your offer is real and ready to go. It's tough out there these days, folks. So why not have the advantage of a proven winning team in your huddle? Get pre-approval underwriting from my friend Shannon with the one and only Legendary Home Loans. Call now, 844-FSU-LOAN, 844-FSU-LOAN, or just visit FSUHomeLoans.com. FSUHomeLoans.com.
Equal housing lender. NMLS number 2270146.
For many in the workforce, their goal is to climb the company ladder. Often the climb requires a move to another city, and that's especially true in our industry. I'm Jay of Paul's Termite and Pest Control. If you rise the ranks of our competitors, there's a good chance moving up means moving away. Why? Because they're not local companies. They're from places like Orlando, Atlanta, Salt Lake City, and even Europe. That's certainly not the case with our employees. We're a company that was founded in the Big Bend and remains locally owned. When Paul's Termite and Pest Control employees advance, they remain in the Tallahassee area. Don't trust the safety of your family and pets from disease-carrying pests or the structure of your biggest investment from termites, the people who may be here today and gone tomorrow. Trust Paul's Termite and Pest Control, a company that has serviced thousands of our neighbors right here for over 50 years. Being local really does matter in our industry because local problems require local solutions. Paul's Termite and Pest Control are the Big Bend's local experts for the elimination of termites or any other pest, and a greener lawn too. Call Paul's. We'll get them all.
Life is stressful. Dinner shouldn't be. That motto is why Register Sausage has been doing business in the Florida Panhandle and Lower Alabama for over 75 years. A proud sponsor of Seminole Headlines, Register Sausage always provides the best Southern smoked sausage to over 140 grocery stores and restaurants throughout the Southeast. Headliners have discovered the Register's difference. You can too. To find a store that carries Registers near you or to buy directly, head to registermeats.com. That's registermeats.com. Register Sausage. Yay, sausage!
Seminole Headlines returns now. Head to YouTube and search for Warchant TV today to catch the show live or on demand. Now, here's Jeff Cameron, Ira Schofel, and Corey Clark.
Best matchups, all the land, all that good stuff with MyBookie. MyBookie has super contests, survivor pools, and double deposit bonus that gives you everything you need to secure the bag. Getting started is simple. Sign up today. Use the promo code WARCHANT, and you'll double your first deposit instantly. That's promo code WARCHANT to double your deposit up to $1,000 with MyBookie. This isn't your grandfather's bookie. This is MyBookie. Put your money where your mouth is and get rewarded for it. Begin your winning season today exclusively at MyBookie with the promo code Warchant. Onward we go, boys. Here we go.
I looked it up, by the way. I wasn't sure I was right because usually I say things that are mostly wrong. But the guy did coach in Arkansas, and then he took a Pulaski Academy, which I was a juggernaut, as you can imagine. And then he went to Presbyterian, went 2-9.
How did Pulaski Academy do? Were they all right? Well, you said they moved from one place to another academy.
No,
and then
that's not the story. He was at Presbyterian for a year.
Yeah.
Halfway through the year, after losing 72-0 to Campbell, his players said, "Can we start kicking off more and start maybe punting on fourth down?" And he left at the end of the year, and he's with the Patriots.
I'm not done.
He's with the Patriots.
He's an analyst. He's an analyst with the
He's
Patriots.
well thought of, is what he is. He's failed his way up, Corey, is what he's done. He's in the NFL. That's what he's done.
Yeah.
Victory Cheeseballs writes, how much kiss my ass on Main Street money is it going to take to get a dedicated special teams coach? Is it not allowed? We have, Papuchis is,
man, you have the best special teams unit in the country with a bad
your kicker's just missing
kicker,
kicks. You need a therapist.
Can you not, by the way, can you not hire a kicking coach? What,
people don't.
Why? What would be the, why
a
not?
Substantial investment.
It's $100,000. What are they paying?
Generally, these guys have their own kicking coaches that they pay,
right?
And it works fine. This is not normal.
Right.
Florida State is not ever. When's the last time Florida State had a kicker that was 4 of 9 on field goals?
Why not go get who is thought to be the best kicking coach in the country? It's a very important part of the game, and Ryan, go figure it out
9
yourself.
times out of 10, you don't even need him. Like Roberto Aguayo figured it all out on his own with his own guy, and was the best kicker in college football. Got to Tampa Bay, a professional outfit, and couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. I'm sure they had all kinds of people come in and talk to him. It didn't make a damn bit of difference. He went mental.
If you knew this was going to happen, then maybe, but this doesn't generally happen. This is a guy that kicked. He was 10 of 13 last year.
I just think it's a pretty important position.
It just sucks because when kickers go south, they go south. Look at Vanderjack in the NFL. That guy was the best kicker in the league for the Colts. And then one day he was in the Pro Bowl, utters the line about Peyton and whatever. He gets ripped and then can't make a kick, and he's out of the league.
Yeah.
And there's not any strategy stuff to do from week to week. It's the same thing. You're just repeating the same motion.
All these colleges that spend so much money on all these analysts, that's a pretty important kicking and punting. You could go hire a guy.
Corey, I think it's just like the golf swing, man. Like Ian Baker Finch won a major and then couldn't hit the ball off the tee. I'm sure he sought all kinds of help.
It's the only position in any sport we cover where the kid is just off to his own device.
Yeah, it's the easiest job in the world as long as you don't lose it mentally.
Stan Jones coaches shooting.
Yeah.
Link will coach defense.
Here's the thing. Remember when what's his guy? The guy at Southern Cal now. The former Leonard assistant. That's
the free throw genius.
Edenfield.
Andy, yes.
So they shot the ball.
Sorry. Hey, sorry, man. Sorry, I just got choked up.
Andy Enfield. When he was here, they were shooting well from the free throw line. Then he leaves, and everybody just assumes it was all him. So, man, if you get better players, they're going to shoot better at the free throw line.
Free throws, they make kicks.
If you want guys that can you get better kickers. It's not.
He's going to have to recruit over him unless he figures it out. It's going to be simple.
It's the same thing with punt returns last year. Everybody was killing Papuchis. If you just got to get a better punt returner, it's going to solve that problem.
That did snowball on them for a while. That got weird. Like everybody they put back there couldn't do it.
What I'm saying is,
dropped it.
It wasn't Papuchis' fault.
No.
Go get Micah Pittman.
Remember when Corey predicted old dead leg to kick a game winner against LSU? I got it before he kicked that 29-yarder and turned away. I didn't even realize he was that close. What's the word on the number of 5 stars at the game Saturday? I'd imagine early playing time is offered. That's from John. Are they bringing in a kicker on?
I feel like I predicted Fitzgerald to make a game winner in every prediction I've done so far this season on the Warchant report. I said he'd have 11 field goals this last week.
You were close.
I got close. I'm going to ride or die with the kid.
Noel Tiggity writes,
Fitz, I just hope
you just want him to have his own coach.
I wish they'd give you a coach, man. Hey, go have your family pay your own money to
everything,
fix it.
Right? Noel Tiggity writes, good day, gents. How tough is it every other year to filter out the smell of urine and focus on the game as a reporter when visiting Carter Finley Stadium? Old Piss Bomb Central is where you guys are headed this weekend.
I actually it's an outdoor press box, right? Or I feel like you feel the crowd there. Maybe it's not outdoor, but it's not. Right. It's not soundproof glass like they have at Doak. I like the environment there and covering a game there. Honestly, I feel like it's a little high, it's a little steep.
No matter what, though, unless you're on that field, you have no idea what it's like. That's a tough place to play, man. Those fans are liquored up. Is the fair in town?
Probably, I'm sure it is. It's October.
If the fair's in town,
it's fair month.
They'll be loose. Loose.
And they go out at halftime, and sometimes they don't come back. That is a positive. Like they'll leave because they let you leave and come back at halftime, and they'll go to the cars and drink and stuff. And sometimes they don't come back.
What was it in Gainesville across the street? Was that Joe's?
No, the Purple Porpoise.
No, the
Purple
Joe's Deli.
was there,
Deli
too.
was right there.
But the Porpoise is where everybody would go for shots.
Yeah, absolutely. Bretesso writes, would you rather lose our next 2 games and win against UF and Miami, or win our next 2 games and lose against UF and Miami? Oh, no, you want to beat UF and Miami.
Yeah, it's going to be a bad month if you go 0-3 and then have a bye week. We're not going to like that, but think about finishing a month of November with wins over Miami and Florida.
Ryan wants to know if we can confirm whether or not the backup kicker has a leg.
He does. We saw it today. He got the ball airborne and through the post.
Well, Ryan is not being sarcastic. He does want to know.
He meant a good leg.
No, but he goes on to say, if so, why wouldn't we at least let him try extra points? I mean, maybe they will. I mean, extra point, that's fair. Yeah. I mean, if you don't think this kid can make an extra point, it's worth throwing out the other kid to see if he can make an extra point.
No, I agree with that. I don't think yelling is the answer, but I do think the idea of giving
other people
some time to just sit and watch.
What if you had a kicking? What if you got a kicking coach that yelled at him? I'm just saying, somebody that's been there and done that. What is Roberto Aguayo doing? He can coach kickers here. Pay him $150 to coach kickers.
Mark writes, you want him to coach kickers, right? After the last time we saw him.
The best college kicker of all time.
That's
we don't
fair.
have to worry about him
fair.
In the NFL.
Well,
he's just going to tell you how to
still
kick.
Trying to kick.
He's going to tell you how to kick college field goals.
Oh. He's a college field goal kicker.
College field goal kicker, man.
Does the pregame at home seem to be different this season? Feels like the band barely gets into the war chant. The team's already out the tunnel. And also the band seems much tighter on the field than usual. I'm not complaining, but it does seem to lack some of the luster that we're used to.
Yeah, it's amazing what a loss will do.
I think it was.
You're trying to hire kicking coaches. Yeah. He's mad at the band.
I think didn't he tweet out that they 60 or 70 of the members couldn't make it back?
Yeah, they did have an issue because the classes were canceled. So they had
a lot of their guys went. A lot of the men and women went home, and then some couldn't come back by Friday or Saturday.
William writes, I feel like the last 4 games of our season are vastly more important to our future than the next 2. And he asked if we agree. I agree.
It is, but getting there is going to be a challenge.
Oh, it's hard because
we talked about it earlier.
Losing games sucks.
If you win those that last half of the season, if you go, I don't know what 5-2, whatever it is, yeah, that'll be great. But getting there, being 4-3 would really suck.
So Tom writes this, and I feel this, and I've addressed this some. And I know Tom's is a really good headliner, and so I don't mind. We go back on this all the time, but I always say this has to do with luck. He says, why does this keep happening? FSU's arguably top 10 players. QB1 missed the second half of the Louisville game, has been slightly limited since. Defensive tackle 1 out since LSU. Defensive end 1 limited against Wake Forest. Linebacker 1 is playing hurt. Left tackle 1 missed 2 games and counting. Right tackle 1 out for the season. Corner number 1 playing hurt. Wide receiver 1 car accident out until further notice. Well, making a car accident, really? What do we?
I think he's just commenting on the luck of it.
It's bad luck. It's really bad luck.
It's about time it turns. Like I know they had. Was Tyler Hunter the only player that got injured on the 13 team?
Travis Hunter. Tyler.
Yeah, you wish it was Travis Hunter. So
he too is hurt though. By the way.
Yes, correct.
He is currently hurt.
But I think he's the only one that got hurt. Like really, like the only guy in the starting 22 that got hurt.
Injury luck, yeah.
And they replaced him with Jalen Ramsey. But the point being, you got so incredibly injury lucky that season, and it's like you've been paying the piper ever since.
And also, when you're thin in the ranks, it's very noticeable.
Yeah.
Like guys get hurt on really good teams, and it doesn't really matter because they've got other great players.
And part of the problem, I think, from our standpoint about what we write about, and also from the fan standpoint about what they hear and read about,
we can't talk about it.
Well, I mean, in Norvell's, it's got to be next man up. He can't dwell on it.
Yeah.
He can't go, oh man, well, if we had our guys, it would be totally different.
I mean, he might be punching drywall
inside
away from us. Yeah, I'd be punching anything. Not women, but anything else. Drywall,
children, especially.
Children. Yeah. I'll punch a child. I don't care about that.
Ted writes, gentlemen, it sucks we lost, but we're still 4-1 and can still have a decent season and a bowl invite. Still climbing. Y'all see that whooping Mississippi State put on Texas A&M? Always great to see Jimbo lose. How much longer before they send him packing? Well, they did kick an ass beating.
I texted Corey, I think in the second quarter at halftime. I texted you. It might have been
texted
Littlefield.
Me. We were sitting next to each other.
Must have been Littlefield. But I was like, I'm at the point now where I'm going to have to just watch Jimbo lose, and that'll be the joy for this Saturday.
You get a lot of opportunities, a lot of shot in front.
They got Alabama coming up.
Their offense is terrible, and it's year 5, boys.
He is he's a competitive person, clearly, very competitive. but his ego or pride outweighs that competitiveness because he can't look at his offense and look around the rest of the country and say these guys are being coached the best.
He ain't the problem.
Right.
They're
That's
the problem.
crazy.
He said it this week. We're just not executing.
But
it was awesome when he said it because we've all been in the room when that has been uttered as well.
But it's just bizarre, man. You can't. They have too much talent to run 17 plays, and they're 108th in the country in offense.
Yeah, I'm curious to see where this goes. They have the mother of all recruiting classes laying in the wait, right, to see those guys come out and play, right? They just signed that. Prior to that, they had a top 5 class as well. So, yes, in theory, you would think that at some point they're going to accidentally win 11 games because they have just too much talent to lose games, right? But I don't know. Those guys aren't in love with him, it doesn't appear. Those players don't seem to be playing hard for him either. And we've seen that guy that we're talking about lose his players before. But that leads to they have more money than sense.
He's an
They'll give him $90 million.
Can they make him? Could they make him hire an OC?
First of all, what OC would come work for Jimbo?
Well, $4 million. Yeah, anybody will. But people went and worked for Saban.
I mean,
like
their
that'll
careers.
happen.
Yeah.
But the money will talk. But
my point
would they make him?
But
do
they
it?
know he wouldn't let them actually run their.
Well,
offense.
he'd have to sign a contract.
Okay, promissory note.
Yeah,
or you just say, "Listen, I'm going to take the money and this, whatever."
That's what he would say if they try to. Force
But I
him.
think they could make him like not only you just hired an OC, you're hiring an OC and installing his system.
No, and at that point, Jimbo would say, "No, write me my check," and I'm going to go.
So you don't think you would
I'm
ever
going
do
to go
that?
to my ranches.
Yeah, either one.
he-
Him and Marty Smith. Marty Smith's not going to show up though if he's not the coach at A&M.
I had a great conversation with a guy that covers college football as well, and he said that anymore with the money being what it is, he's not surprised when he sees coaches like Paul Chryst, who this week chose. Now they fired him, but he chose. They gave him an option, and he said, "I want $11 million up front, and I'll walk away." They were going to wait it out, and then he was like, "If you give me $11,"
so he did like the lottery thing. Like
he's
you
like,
can
"I
take
want
the
it
lump,
now,
you can take
and
the
I'm going
lump
to
sum,
one time,
the lump sum.
But I mean,
pay
the
it
money
out.
is so great now that you could do that. There's thought that that's what they did with Scott Frost. That they were like, Scott, like.
Willie was like, "Nah, I'll wait for my 18."
He's still waiting.
I want all of that $20 million,
Yeah.
baby. I'll wait on it. Yeah. Man, it's frustrating. Sir Stuart Wallace writes, guys, the Greedy Vance play was hard to take. Starting to get antsy on wanting to see a little bit more of AZ Thomas. He graded out well in the 14 plays he was out
and
there.
he was on
Thomas
there
did.
he was out there on the field when it mattered, just like he was a little bit. Well, he played a good bit against Boston
Well,
College,
I think it's
but
just
before
a
the
good
game
sign. It's just a good sign they're starting to work him in. I mean, I think he's getting his second wind, and here we go. He is an immensely talented player. I do think you're in a position where if you're not going to get much better play at a certain guys in that position, why not elevate him and give him more time? He's going to make some mistakes. You just got to know
so
that's the case.
So are the guys ahead of him, though. Yeah,
that's what I mean. You might as well.
Yeah.
Jared writes, why does Fuller get a pass every time he has a bad game plan? I get we were missing some key components. That was unwatchable. Wake did whatever they wanted in the first half. Again,
I don't think anybody's giving him a pass.
No.
My point was I did not expect Florida State's defense to hold Wake Forest below 30 or 31 points.
Yeah.
So that's about what we expected.
That's the point.
I thought Florida State's offense would score more than 30 points against that defense at home.
I said 41-34 Florida
I said
State.
45-35.
I thought, they gave up less. And again, only give up 10 points in the second half. You've got teams all throughout this conference scheming to try to stop Wake Forest, and none of them do. None of them do. And Forest State gave up less points than the vast majority of them. It doesn't mean it was a great effort. Doesn't mean it wasn't frustrating to watch.
And part of it
it's
was
just
because
that it wasn't egregious.
And part of it was because they chose to
keep it in front of them.
in front of them. But again, you can't. It's midway through the third quarter. I don't know, 4 or 5 minutes in the third quarter, and you have 7 points. That's at
the
home
empty
against Wake
offensive
Forest,
possessions back
that's how
to
you
back
lost
to
the
back
game.
to back to back is a killer. That's the game. Also, and he knows
So
this,
that's
I'm
not
sure.
giving Fuller a pass, but it's pointing to the bigger
Yeah,
problem.
and nobody on this show is saying Adam Fuller is a great defensive
Or that-
coordinator.
that-
He's proven
certainly not
himself.
that
I mean, that
But
hasn't happened.
Jared, also, I would just point to this. Say he dialed it up and they blitzed on every play and brought the house and tried to force the issue, and they gave up 5 50-plus yard plays for touchdowns. We'd be talking about what a dumbass he was for doing that you can't blitz him. All the numbers show you that Hartman's devastatingly good against the blitz.
The evidence from 1 week earlier when he did that to Clemson.
When he did it to Clemson. So then it
I'm
just
just
doesn't
saying
work
blitz
that way.
everybody on one play.
And slam him to the
Slam
turf
him
and
into the
hurt him.
ground. No, you're not hurting a kid. Hey, who said
It's okay, Corey. I'm not. Hey, listen, my sensibilities are with you. It doesn't bother me to say it. Just say it. Take that penalty.
But I want you to pick
his
up,
ass into the ground.
I want you to pick up both of them, the running back and him, as they mesh and scoot. You pick them up and slam them both to the ground like a tag team match.
Rob writes, can Destin Hill kick field goals?
Yeah, what's he up to? Is he practicing higher? Do you know?
We did have a question here about Winston Wright. Do we think he's close? Do we know?
I mean, I think he's still rehabbing the way he has been. I don't think, no. And the last time we asked about Norvell about him, he kind of didn't sound like it's imminent. So I don't think it's imminent.
Which is surprising to me,
but not a.
No,
I don't think it affects a whole.
No, it doesn't. You're getting your receivers are playing well.
Seminole Headlines, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV continues in a moment.
Your local news now.
A Tallahassee man facing dozens of felony animal cruelty charges entered a no contest plea Monday to misdemeanor charges. Marion Harmon was arrested in June of 2021 after deputies found more than 150 animals on his Capitola Road property. Some of them were emaciated and more than a dozen of them were dead. Harmon entered a plea in Leon County courtroom to 5 misdemeanor counts and was sentenced to 5 years probation. He agreed not to own any animals during that time. Several of the animals rescued from Harmon's property were taken in by local farms, ranches, and rescues. The Tallahassee International Airport is helping another community affected by Hurricane Ian. The Punta Gorda Airport said it was in dire need of fencing materials after being severely damaged from the storm. In response, the Tallahassee International Airport sent them a trailer full of extra fencing materials. The materials arrived in Punta Gorda over the weekend. This is Rachel Lene with your Real Talk 93.3 local news update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Mainly sunny skies and calm this afternoon with a high of 79. Winds out of the northeast, 5 to 10 miles per hour. Partly cloudy skies tonight, lows around 56. Daytime highs approaching 84 tomorrow, mainly clear. Sunny skies and calm Thursday with daytime highs approaching 86. 89 Friday. This report is brought to you by The Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 78.
Let's be honest, we all have way too much stuff. Maybe your storage closet is full, your garage is full, or the guest bedroom is a mess. Call Southeast Portable Buildings, 580-6400, or visit them online at southeastportablebuildings.com.
Your next chance to win $1,000 is coming up at 3 p.m. Don't miss your chance to shake the 93.3 money tree and see what falls out. Planted by the law offices of Basic Brooks. Come back stronger with Basic Brooks.
Life is stressful. Dinner shouldn't be. That motto is why Register Sausage has been doing business in the Florida Panhandle and Lower Alabama for over 75 years. A proud sponsor of Seminole Headlines, Register Sausage always provides the best Southern smoked sausage to over 140 grocery stores and restaurants throughout the Southeast. Headliners have discovered the Register's difference. You can too. To find a store that carries Registers near you or to buy directly, head to registermeats.com. That's registermeats.com. Register Sausage. Yay, sausage!
Here's what you missed on the Greg Tish Show.
There's a TikTok that's going viral because of a butter softening method. They are putting the Vermont Creamery butter in the waistband of her pants. Give it 5 minutes. You can go and measure out your ingredients, and then your butter is ready to go. You cannot do this in Florida.
No.
Because your pants will be full of butter in 2 minutes. Somebody try it. Post on TikTok.
Unless it says juicy across the back.
The Greg Tish Show, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m., only on Real Talk 93.3.
Seminole Headlines returns now. Head to YouTube and search for Warchant TV today to catch the show live or on demand. Now, here's Jeff Cameron, Ira Schofel, and Corey Clark.
Keep it rolling, boys. We don't have that much time left in the show. I'm trying to get it to as many as I can.
Rapid fire.
Okay, Eric writes, whenever we have a disappointing outcome, I often look to others' pain to soothe my soul. So does Ira.
Smart.
Eric,
I think everybody kind of does that, right?
Yeah, Schadenfreude's a thing, man.
Yeah.
It is. He goes on to say, Texas A&M's performance this weekend absolutely helped lift my spirits as I watched a disheveled, grizzled, and clearly upset Jimbo Fisher during a timeout. Lo and behold, I saw Jeff's brochacho, Steve Adazio, standing next to him. I didn't realize he had joined Fisher's staff. But now that he has, I wonder, do you think Jimbo sometimes yells out, Dawes!
Instead of Dawes.
Dawes isn't there anymore.
Yeah, instead of
but
Dawes.
Dawes is.
Dawes is,
So he
though.
says it right.
Yeah. A pastry for that ass Hashtag rock ass solid.
Hmm.
Ryan writes, fellas, in all seriousness, since Coach Norvell has Seminole Headlines playing in his office, can he roll on over to the Plex and hand Summer Dinnigan a helmet? She kicked field goals in high school and was the MVP of her football team. Don't believe me? Have Google Clark look it up.
I'm doing that right now.
All right, Google
Okay.
Clark, look it up.
All right, you go to the next question.
Logan writes, could someone throw some pizza money at Roberto Aguayo to oh, here we go. It's all kickers, guys. It's all kickers.
And let's just say the kicker isn't the reason you lost that game.
No. Although it could have helped.
That position moving forward could be a key reason why you lose.
I don't know. It kind of does change some decisions. If you make that early kick, there's a lot of factors.
It's still 28-10 when they come out. Do you think the kick deflated them going into halftime?
That's what you asked. And if it's it's 21-10 and maybe you have more energy on defense to start.
Yeah, maybe so.
What's a bigger surprise? Fitzgerald hits a 41-yarder walk-off on Saturday night?
Yes.
Or that we see Destin Hill play for Florida State?
Well, never mind. There you go. I guess.
If we're down on the field at the end of the game, sometimes we get down to the field at the end of the game. If we're down at the field and he kicks a 46-yarder to win it, are you running over to hug him?
I mean,
will you break professional protocol and go pick him up and put him on your shoulders for the sake of the site?
Because
imagine the video that we have on the front page, Warchant.com.
Because he'll be running away from the team.
But he'll be running
what if
towards
he runs
us?
Towards us? Would you grab him?
I'll have my hands up like this and like a really excited face just for the photo.
Yeah.
I think he'll run either through me or around me. I don't know that he's going to want to embrace me.
Catch him and hold him?
Yeah, he might push me off like he doesn't know who I am necessarily. I don't think he'd recognize me. But me and Ira together could do it.
But if you had, both of you had open arms like this, like you were the lead singer of Creed, and you just did this the whole time and smiled, he would know those are welcoming arms.
Yeah,
those are arms of support.
I'm going to go jump into their arms.
Yeah.
That's not a bad idea.
But if you pull a Scott Stapp and just do this.
Yeah.
And then, that's
arms
it.
like
arms
Tim Robbins and Shawshank Redemption.
There it is.
Just
Both
stare
of
up
you.
like this.
Yeah. However, if he's been listening or reading anything anybody's
That's what
been
I'm
writing,
saying.
he might drop kick you.
But that's not on Corey. That's these listeners here. They're ruthless.
Right,
one after the other.
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm very disappointed in Seminoles.com. Speaking of kickers, they have her bio, but it mentions nothing about kicking. You know, her dad played soccer at Southeastern University. That's all it says in her bio. If she was really MVP of a football team, wouldn't you at least put that in the personal, Ira?
Island Chief
Come on.
gave a donation to write, do you guys regret not naming Fitzgerald in your top 40?
He's making us pay.
That's why you're going to get the drop kick.
That's the thing, is because he's showing how important it is. We didn't.
Rob writes, well, that brought us back down to earth. I think we were a little over our skins in what we thought this team was capable of. We just lost to Wake Forest again. They were able to score a lot of points against teams that were subpar. They got lucky one night against Clemson. Like most people nationally, I don't think they're a very great team because, once again, they're Wake freaking Forest. Even with our injuries, we could have beaten them, but we didn't. Do you guys really still think we can challenge for a top-tier bowl game? I don't know if we ever thought they would challenge for a top-tier bowl game. We thought they would go to a bowl and that they could win 8 games. 9 if everything worked out well. And I do think Wake is a good team, and I said it leading into the game that I thought Wake was a good team.
Wake is better than I thought because they've got a couple pieces that I didn't really recognize.
Their defensive tackle's really good, and
good.
Running back's good. They've got they got real tall receivers, by the way. Very physical.
Good receivers.
Yeah, and they got a good quarterback, and they're well coached. Let's just say it. It's hard to admit Wake is a good team.
If Florida State played their A game, I think Florida State wins that game by at least 7 points. But you didn't, and they did.
And they don't make a ton of mistakes.
Right.
And that's the sign of a good team, right? A well-coached team and everything else. They are consistently that. Hassan writes, fellas, oh, man, I screwed you, Hassan. This is a Seymour. I can't read your question because I didn't click out the Seymour.
She was the varsity special teams MVP in 2021.
There we go. All right.
There it is.
Yeah. Don't have the record of how many kicks she made.
The difference between these next 2 games, I think if NC State plays their best at home, you're going to have a tough time winning that game. If Clemson plays their best, you're not going to win that game.
Beaten, yeah.
But Wake was a game I thought if you played your best, you could have won. That doesn't mean you can't win these next 2, but you're probably going to need them to not play great either.
Sean says, let's keep it simple. We're a touchdown favorite at home. Clearly more of our players are going to go to the league than our opponent. Explain to me how this isn't coaching.
I don't know.
I don't know that more of our players on this particular team where they are right now are going to be going to the league than Wake Forest. Wake Forest has got 1, 2, 3. I can name 5 that are going to the league.
Well, Lovett will go in the league, but he didn't play. Jared Verse will be in the league. He played 23 snaps. He played a quarter of the snap, 25%. Johnny Wilson will be in the league. Pittman maybe, but we don't. I mean, that's what is that? I've named out of the
Also,
guys that played.
Sean, let me ask you something. And you can, I mean, it's not wrong to question certain aspects of coaching, but I would also say that Wake Forest the week before lost in double overtime to the team that has way more players going to the league than anybody else in this conference.
And he easily could have won that game.
Should have won the game.
If Clausen, who we're giving all the
Who
credit
turtled.
to, if he had been a little bit more aggressive in that game.
Man, that was disappointing. And look, LSU has more people that will be in the National Football League than Florida State does. They lost to Florida
happens,
State.
yes.
But that's the parity of college football, man. Other than the top 5 teams
Also,
in the
there's
country,
more to it than just if the guys going to the league or not.
they can all beat each other.
Ken writes, we have a backup kicker from St. Thomas Aquinas who has kicked in this stadium when they won a state title. Why not give him a shot?
I think that's the Max. Is that the Max Larson kid? I
Yeah.
don't know. Anyway,
He's not. From what we can see, it doesn't look like he's in contention. But there is another walk-on that they are at least.
Austin
trying
writes,
out.
what's more annoying, Duke basketball players flopping or Wake Forest wide receivers begging for a flag on every pass?
I hate it, man. And Adam Fuller said as much yesterday.
They're actually good at it, though. You know what they do?
They coach it.
They coach it well, and they also pull defenders into them.
They engage and then fly backwards.
Yeah.
And it's
Now-
ridiculous that it gets called so much.
Okay, so now this is one of the things where I do get in trouble and where I talk about perhaps things can be done about that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that
Like what I was saying with
if somebody's
the mesh.
actively, yes, I'm just saying if you see it over and over and over again in which a player is pulling a defender into a guy and eliciting that flag, I mean, maybe there's a shot taken where they're earning that flag. I mean,
What if I jump into your arms when he makes the kick, Ira?
Those are inviting arms.
I'd catch you.
Those are inviting arms.
I think so. You'd have to know that it was coming. I won't want to surprise you, but I'd jump right into your arms while
I
he's
got
running
reflexes.
towards us. Yeah, you'll catch me. It's fine.
What do you think of the way? Oh God, I don't care. The way they're pitching Aaron Judge.
Man,
is that a joke question? Because it's really funny.
It's a funny question, yeah.
Because that's all we see. That's going to be crazy if he finishes with 61, and he's
also
he's
three
tortured
for his,
college football players or fans for 2 weeks.
And also, he's like, isn't he like 3 for his last 30, whatever? I mean, he has gotten some pitches to hit.
I don't know that he's had a hit since they cut in.
He
The
had
cut
it
in
last
at
night. He had a hit last night that was a dribbler to third, but it was a hit.
Oh, there you go. There you go, Aaron. Nice.
No, man, some of that is on him too, man. Guys aren't out here trying to serve it up. That's the way it is.
I wish they would have. They'd stop cutting in.
Yeah. Well, it's over. We don't have to worry about it anymore.
Yeah, we're about done. We're wrapping it up. It's final minute. I'm not going to engage any more questions.
Last comment there from Glenn in the chat. Watch for Shaheem Brown versus NC State. Here's the thing. It's funny because we talk about guys that that kid, the young players on this team, him, Patrick Payton, I think Josh Farmer, I think Daniel Lyons. There's a lot of Azaria Thomas. There's a lot of really young talent on this team that's going to be really, really good. Yeah. What they're kind of lacking right now is that middle tier. Like they've got some quality veterans, but when those guys get hurt, the next thing you have
is either really inexperienced, too small, or going to be good in 2 year type guy. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, this is what happens when you're rebuilding. You get caught in stages, and some of those stages are a little bit more tenable than others. Right now, they're fine. They're 4-1, lost by 10 to a ranked Wake team that's a veteran squad and really well coached. There's no shame in that. They shouldn't. I'm not happy about losing. I hate losing, and I hate the process of waiting to be dominant again. But that's what it is. You got to build it. And when you have the kind of depth that can endure these losses due to injury, then you win a game like that. But they don't right now. They just don't. It's not that.
Also, if Greedy Vance could catch the ball.
And they may not have won that game even if he did.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, but I mean,
you got to make plays.
Greedy Vance is a transfer player.
Yeah.
Basically, you traded him for your boy at Louisville, and neither have done a damn thing since at their respective schools since they left.
But I think last week also what happened around college football should, again, give you reason to believe that they could win one or maybe even both of these extra games because teams beat teams every week that you never expected.
8 of the last 10 teams in the top 25 lost. Like the 16 to 25, 8 of them lost. I mean, that's just
good work,
football.
Ira. Good work, Corey. Thanks so much to all of you for listening and watching and participating. We love you. We appreciate you. Be well, and we'll talk to you again, on down the road. Go Noles. Peace.